Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined as ever by Mr. Matt Turner. We are officially post the conversion. Now, I'm not going to shout it today because my poor girlfriend is upstairs with a really bad headache, and if I shout, she may well come downstairs and kill me. So we are post the conversion. We were promised a landscape-altering pay-per-view. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened
this morning too, buddy. So it's like, holy Jesus.
There we go.
We got lots of stuff. Obviously, a great show to talk about. We got Korakuen Hall coming up on Tuesday, which is probably going to be sold out in a matter of minutes.
Can imagine, yeah.
Because the announcement, we also have the announcement of 5-star Grand Prix participants, all but 2, which I'm really excited for. Certain blocks, we already have certain matches. Man, I'm excited, buddy. It's exciting time, Rob. And if that doesn't excite you, you know what else is going to excite you, Rob? I don't know if you've noticed. I'm sure you did. During this show, the conversion, a lot of new hair, a lot of new gear.
Oh,
I got it.
I was hopeful. I was hopeful that we were getting the Andy Header hair and gear award because it feels like it's a part of the show now.
Yes. Now, obviously, you don't have to wait for Andy Header to be live on Talk Joshi. I did text him on Saturday. I said, this is going to be what you need to do. And then I text him this morning because usually we record on a Tuesday. We're recording on a Monday. So, because I think just because Rob just missed me. So I was like, hey, can you get this to me? And then the next text was, boom, here it is. So I was like, good pick, sir. I mean, again, I'm not the judge of it. So obviously we have so much to talk about. Before we do that, just want to I hope everybody had a good Father's Day. Father's Day was this past weekend. My daughter made me an unbelievable drawing of Utami Hayashishita.
On social
if anybody has not, if anybody has not seen it yet, it is all over my social media. I cannot be any more prouder of this kid who spent like 3 days, like nonstop working on this. She sent it to me drawn, inked, and her coloring was absolutely next level. So I have had a lot of people ask me, like, is she taking commissions? A lot of people, fans of us on the Stardom Cast, a lot of people at my gym. We're going to work on something. We're going to work on something where you're going to be able to hire my daughter, do commissions on pretty much whatever, as long as you give her a photo reference. Oh, that, Rob. But coming up this Tuesday, my grandfather's 95th birthday. I don't think he listens to the podcast, but happy birthday to my hero of heroes, my grandfather. I mean, you guys, if anybody thinks that like I'm Mr. Positivity or I'm Mr. Work Ethic, which I don't know if I am or aren't, that guy completely blows anybody out of the water. So he's kind of the guy that blazed the trail for me. So a lot of great stuff coming up last weekend, this week coming up, my friend. Busy stuff in the best way possible, brother. But enough about me, buddy. What's going on with you? How's things? Did you play cricket? Did you play football? Did you play baseball? Did you play racquetball? Did you play tennis? What'd you do this week, buddy?
Full Contact Connect 4. There you go. Played cricket this week. Played cricket on Sunday. It was not a game that will live long in the memory. I didn't get a lot of runs. It was a very warm, sweaty day, so it was not the most enjoyable day of the cricket calendar. But there we are. It is warm, Matt Turner, on the Isle of Great Britain. So I apologize, by the way, guys, if you can hear the fan going behind me, but it is 90 degrees in the UK. So I'm certainly not doing it in this room without a fan. Otherwise, you just see me progressively become more and more liquid over the course of the podcast, and nobody needs to see that. So,
like Frosty,
the fan is going to be exactly like Frosty.
Frosty, not the real Frosty, the real good one.
Yeah, not the Timu version. This hot Frosty. You can't get hot if you're Frosty, you stupid film. Anyway.
Bringing it back.
I'm over it. I am over it. Hot Frosty on Netflix. Check it out. Not
a sponsor of the show, but should
I don't know why I said that. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Matt Turner. We have got a ridiculous amounts to talk about today, considering we're only talking about one show. We have obviously had 5-star Grand Prix announcements. Pretty much everything to do with the 5-star Grand Prix has now been announced, with the, as you mentioned, with the exception of 2 of the competitors. Lots of intrigue surrounding the 5-star Grand Prix. 2 huge omissions, two bigger omissions than obviously the names that we already knew weren't going to be a part of the tournament. Syuri, Rani Yagami, Fuwachan, and Hazuki. Obviously, they're in the UK. The US, sorry. Wish they were in the UK. Maybe. Who knows? Absolutely. Maybe Pro Wrestling Eve. Come on, Will Ospreay. But obviously, we've got that to talk about. We have got a red belt match that's randomly been signed for Korakuen Hall, because hell yeah. We've got Primetime Hazuki. We're going to be talking about that match with Mercedes Moné, which was absolutely stellar. I was going to swear there, but not yet. We've obviously got announcements of more shows that Hazuki's going to be on, and Hazuki's match has been confirmed for Warrior Wrestling. I don't know if you've seen who are opponents this match. Oh, that's going to be tasty as anything. But before we dive headlong into this embarrassment of riches somewhat, and I am going to tell you now, there is a really, really sort of selfless self-plug in a moment as well. Selfish self-plug, sorry. So I apologize for that. But before we get into that, Matt Turner, please, good sir, tell us what is coming up on the Patreon this week.
Alternate commentary. Azumi, Sai Kamatani, 5-star Grand Prix. And you might be saying, Matt, didn't you do that from 2021, Rob? 2021. I was going through the year. Yes, the year 2021, the year that I first got into Stardom, the year that you wrote a book about World Wonder Ring Stardom. So I was kind of just going through, and I was like, Saya Kamatani, Azumi, Korakuen Hall. Heck yeah. So that is the alternate commentary that'll be on your feed this week. This past weekend, I did drop my 5-star Grand Prix review of Rena's first run in the 5-star Grand Prix, which was last year. What a great time. I had so much fun going back and watching Rena's matches, especially those two Azumi matches, the one in Korakuen Hall, and then the semi-final one. And then I did rate every one of her matches from last year's 5-star Grand Prix, which she had 10 matches. Not a bad first at bat for the Pink Devil one, Rena. So that is on your feed. And then more than likely at the end of this week, again, cards subject to change, as I always say, Mr. Rob Goodwin, that myself and Andy Head are going to be bringing back What If? What if we have our own Forbidden Door? Timely, because Forbidden Door is this weekend.
It's almost like you plan these things.
Almost, buddy. Almost. Myself and Andy Header. We are scheduled to record later this week, which will be dropped on the weekend. Again, cards subject to change. What if we were to book our own Forbidden Door, Tokyo Joshi Pro versus Stardom? So that one should be all sorts of fun. And I know I did say I'm looking to be doing a couple of these reviews of 5-star Grand Prix reviews. More than likely, the next one on the feed in the next few weeks is going to be look back at Hazuki's run in 2023. I did do Hazuki's run back in 2022, but Hazuki in 2023, the Mayu match, the Syuri match, there's a lot of really fun
Julia
stuff.
Match.
The Julia match.
2022.
That was 2022. Yeah, Julia did. Yes. However, I mean, that's on the feed. Hey, for all of our new Patreon listeners, it's there. So more than likely I'll do that. And then I'm looking probably maybe by the end of July, rivalry review, I'm looking at Mizuki versus Miyu Yamashita. So much great stuff, past, present, and future. It seems like every day or every other day when I go to check to see what's going on our Patreon page, we always have some new subscribers. So we thank you. And we hope that you're enjoying everything that's going on there. We have all sorts of tiers, even a free tier. If you want the news, if you want some of the news articles that we're writing as well, there's so much great stuff over on the World of Joshi Patreon exclusive channel, my friend.
Indeed, patreon.com/World of Joshi. And I'm just going to throw my hat into the ring here and just say, if someone doesn't book Hyper Misao versus Fukigen Death in the 3 Stages of Hell match, what are we even doing? I mean, is it really a Forbidden Door if that match doesn't happen? So I'd like you just to take that on board, if possible.
If it comes down to that, or Miyu Yamashita versus Syuri, it's like, which one do you do?
1A, 1B, man. I mean, like, I know which one will sell out Korakuen Hall, and it sure as hell isn't that Poundland kickboxer Syuri, he says through gritted teeth. Anyway, just a very, very quick plug from me before we get into the big news coming out of Stardom is that my new book. Look. The author thing came today. It's so thick. The Complete Monday Night Wars 1996, Part 1, The Death of Hulkamania, will be out on the 7th of July. You can pre-order yours now on Kindle. For some strange reason, you can't pre-order the paperback. I don't know why that is, but that's where we are. It is obviously 30 years since the greatest heel turn, I would argue, in wrestling history. So this has felt quite nicely. I was initially going to do the entirety of 1996 in one book, but as this book is to July and it's 600 pages, I thought probably just split it into two. So yes, the second installment of the Complete Monday Night Wars is out 7th of July. Paperback and Kindle as well for so go and check that out, brother, on the 7th of July. So I thought I'd get a sort of plug in there.
Awesome. Congratulations, buddy. I cannot wait to pre-order that and dive into that. 1996. What a year. What a year. You're absolutely right. In my opinion, and I will die on this hill, the greatest heel turn in the history of wrestling was that. And I mentioned this on the podcast before because obviously that happened at Bash at the Beach when I was off school, and I had teachers calling my house. Be like, did this is like before everybody had the internet, did Hulk Hogan turn heel? It was on the news. My mom heard about it at work. She's calling the house. It was just like massive thing. And look, even on the WWF side, you had Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold first getting there. So, I mean, even it was a really big year for pro wrestling, 1996. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I'm glad you did divide it up into two parts, Rob. I mean, that's
nobody needs 1,200 pages on 1996.
Like
irrelevant of what you feel like in that year.
Book.
I know. Yeah, and it's in font like that as well, so you can't read it. Yeah, 1996, weird year. Obviously, the NWO starts, and then on the flip side of that, you've got Techno Team 2000, you've got the Godwins, you've got Cloudy. I don't know if you remember Cloudy, the Body Donna's manager. They bought him because Sonny Cloudy, do you get it? And of course, who could forget, of course, Billionaire Ted's Wrestling War Room. So all of those things you can check out my opinions on in this book. So there you go. Right, Matt. So possibly bigger than a lot of the stuff that actually happened at the conversion, which is mad to say out loud. We had 5-star Grand Prix announcements through the wazoo or up the wazoo, whichever way you want to say. Both, yeah, absolutely. Matt, just give me 2 seconds. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you won't know this, but there was a slight pause there. We were discussing the wazoo, Matt. Is it up the wazoo or through the wazoo?
It could be both. Whatever you want it to be. Whatever you want it to be. It's subjective, like pro wrestling.
Subjective wazoos. Yes, we did, in fact, have the vast majority, as I mentioned, of the 5-star Grand Prix announcements. We now know the competitors, except for 2. We now know the block breakdowns. We also know when all of the matches are going to be taking place as well. So a whole raft of 5-star Grand Prix announcements. Now, we're not going to go into detail about what matches are happening when, or the competitors, their chances, because that is saved for our favorite episode of the year, which is, of course, the 5-star Grand Prix Primer, which, as soon as the announcements dropped, I already started all of the graphics and everything. So that is about a quarter done because, good Lord, it takes a while. But let's run through all of these names before we get into anything, Matt. We start with Red Stars A, Sayaka Kurara, Tomoka Inabe, Azumi, Itsuki Aoki, Maika, Natsuko Tora, Rina, and one other qualifier as well. I assume we will be having a 4-person tournament, presumably. Again, we've got 2 Korakuens, I think, before the 5-star Grand Prix, maybe the finals at the next Korakuen. In Red Stars B, this is a full block. Saida, Lady C, Meisera, Rini Yamashita, Maki Ito, Konami, Azusa Inabe, and Matt, you did predict correctly, Utami Hayashishita as well. Blue Stars A, another complete block as well. Aya Sakura, Hina, Miyu Hamasaki. We've also got Suzu Suzuki, Hanako, Rian, Ruwaka, and B. Priestley. I will just say that during the research for this, I did find out that Rian's new nickname is Reckless Brat Girl, which is perhaps the greatest nickname in the history of the world. And the way that she wrestled the Artist of Stardom Championship match at the conversion, probably apt. And finally, Blue Stars being, what a bloody block this is. Hanan, Yuna Mizumori, Amisori, Starlight Kid, Koguma, returning Momo Watanabe, Saya Kamatani, and the second of our qualifiers as well. So 30 of the 32 names, Matt, have been announced. Obviously, we know, just like last year, 3 from each block go through into the playoffs, the semifinals and the final, of course, 23rd of August in Ryogoku Kokugikan. Before we get into who is missing, because there are 2 big names, as I mentioned, missing, what are your thoughts on the block breakdowns? What are your thoughts on potential matchups that you're excited for? Let's start with Red Stars A. Obviously, a lot of remnants from Red Stars B last year with Sayaka Kurara, Tomoka Inaba, Azumi, Natsuko Tora, and Rina. It's very similar. But again, with 3 people qualifying from each block, I feel like it's a lot more open in the blocks this year than last year.
It's a little tricky, that's for sure. It's a little tricky. I will say this: now I did watch this show, The Conversion, live. Rob, did you? You did not.
I literally watched it today.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. All right. Well, so I watched
Fresh
this
in the mind.
I watched this live, and again, my prediction, which I did get wrong, I did halfway decent on this prediction, way better than the Marvelous show.
Good Lord.
But my prediction, the first 2 names that popped up in the same block were Sayaka Kurara and Maika. And I'm already booking in my head at like 3 a.m. I'm like, okay, Maika is going to beat Sayaka Kurara. And then on the final night of the 5-star, they're going to have a rematch, but it's going to be for Sayaka Kurara's belt. Maika's winning the red belt in Sumo Hall, and then Kamatani's beating Utami. That's literally what I went to. But now things have changed, buddy.
Again.
I love it. I love it.
Brings unpredictability. We'll get into that in a moment.
I love it. But to answer your question, this block's going to be great because even though, spoilers, folks, obviously spoilers, now that Sayaka Kurara is no longer a red belt champion.
Wait, what?
Yes, you didn't know that. She lost to Billiken Death. Billiken Death cashed in the AWA Money in the Bank briefcase and won.
Fair enough, yeah.
Stardom has a working relationship with 1970s version Vern Gagne's AWA.
I should have seen it coming, really.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Nick Bockwinkel versus Micah match. Anyway, we're off the rails here. Sayaka Kurara no longer red belt champion, but having really great matches. That, again, we'll get in that match with Suzu, was unbelievable. This Kamatani match was a match of the year candidate. Now it puts more emphasis on Sayaka Kurara. Can she make that comeback? And I don't know if I don't think she's gonna win the tournament, but is she playoff bound? You look at Rina, who made it to the semifinals of this tournament last year. Tora, former red belt champion. Micah not only won the 5-star Grand Prix in 2024, the only competitor to win the tournament undefeated. I'm excited for Aoki to be in this tournament because us over at Talk Joshi do watch a lot of her singles matches outside of the Stardom bubble. And sometimes she can be, when she's in Stardom, she kind of is unfortunately overshadowed by the Suzukis of this world, and understandably so. So she's going to get a shot. What about Azumi? Tomoka Inaba. This might be the great time to really give Tomoka Inaba a push, and Sayaka Kurara. So I can pretty much see, 3 or 4 or 5 of these making it into the playoffs. So as far as matches go, you're absolutely right. We're getting a lot of rematches from last year. I mentioned how Rina and Azumi, 2 matches last year's tournament. I'm looking forward to the rematch. I'm looking forward to Azumi and Micah because we have not seen them wrestle in a singles match since the 2024 5-star Grand Prix. And oh, by the way, that was after Azumi wrestled 3 matches. So a fresh Azumi versus a fresh Micah. If you remember when Micah was red belt champion, she did defend against Tomoka Inaba at a JTO show in Korakuen Hall, and it was insane. I'm excited again to see Sayaka Kurara's ascension back up, to see where she's going to fit after this 50 some odd day run as champion. But I'm thoroughly excited. I'm thoroughly excited for this block, for all the blocks, but this is one I'm definitely looking forward to. And again, the return of Micah was not in last year's tournament due to injury, coming back to maybe reclaim her crown, Rob. Again, more on that later, good sir.
she's got to be considered an early contender for this block, certainly. As you mentioned, losing the title after 55 days for Sayaka Kurara, it does begin a really interesting story of sort of self-doubt. Well, was Suzuki right? Am I strong enough to be champion? I mean, she lost it on her birthday, as though that isn't a kick to the nether regions, as well as losing the title as well. I'd be amazed if Rina doesn't make the playoffs. But then, of course, you've got Azumi, last year's finalist, Tomoka Rinaba, who Stardom are very high on. It's a very, very interesting block. Red Stars B, I mean, there are some really big hitters, and literally in Red Stars B, we saw some of the chops that Syuri was throwing in that Wonder of Stardom Championship match. Again, your eyes are immediately drawn to Utami here, isn't it? Utami Hayashishita, Konami as well, former Wonder of Stardom champion, Maki Ito, who clearly Stardom are very, very high on, Saya Iida, who's just challenged for the Wonder of Stardom belt twice in 6 months. I would be enormously surprised, despite the fact that Utami might be closer to the red belt than we think. I would be very surprised if Utami is not one of the people going through to the playoffs. Now, off the top of my head, I haven't checked who Utami has on the final night. In her final match, should I say, because they're a lot more spaced out this year than they were last year. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if she's got Konami on her final match, and Konami stops her maybe with that whole hate versus Utami thing. I don't know. I'd be surprised if Maki Ito doesn't make it to the playoffs. But then again, from a purely selfish standpoint, I want to see Lady C in there. I want to see Syuri in there. I want to see Mei Seira in there. So, we talked last year about Azusa Renaba being a breakout star. This could well be the block that facilitates that for her.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, when Utami was announced as the final member of Red Stars, so that means a certain somebody is in Blue Stars. So the internet was already fantasy booking. They were fantasy booking, and I was like, okay, yes. So literally, I was in this chair, and I literally did the old pump fist, and you can hear the crowd in the background. They would like the big ooh, like Utami got the big, is she or isn't she? We kind of figured she would be. And what a great block she's in. I think her and Lady C are going to have a great match. Mei Seira has a real shot of making it to the playoff. Again, obviously, this isn't my official prediction, but I'm pretty solid on Utami, and I'm pretty solid on Saida making it into the playoff. Is it Maki Ito? Obviously, Maki Ito is a big ticket draw and is over. Is it Rina Yamashita? Is it going to be Mei Seira? I don't know. I could have it completely wrong. I'm really gonna have to sit down and take a look at this. But this whole block looks great. Saida versus Utami. We know those two are fantastic together. We knew Utami has a great track record of working with those high speed style wrestlers, like an Azumi, like a Starlight Kid, like a Natsupoi, back in 2021 and 2022. And I think her and Mei Seira can absolutely tear down the house. I'm looking forward to see what Rina Yamashita is going to be able to do against Konami, because that is going to be smash mouth, right up my style, a style type of match. And Rina Yamashita versus Saida is going to be like the hidden gem of hidden gems, because there's going to be so much great wrestling. So yes, the whole entire Red Stars looks absolutely loaded, but I'm going to peg early favorite. Again, not my official prediction. Wait for our 4-hour show, which Rob is already working on. God bless you, sir. I'm going to say Utami and Iida, I think, have a really good shot of making it into the playoffs.
Blue Stars A, Aya Sakura, Hina, Miyu Amasaki, Suzu, Hanako, Rian, Ruaka, and B. Priestley. No debutantes in this block. Obviously, our new red belt champion, our new World of Stardom champion, Suzu Suzuki, is in this block. So the first thing you are immediately drawn to in this block is who is going to get a pinfall win over Suzu Suzuki and get a championship opportunity, presumably at Stardom, to the world, should Suzu retain Korakuen, which we'll get into very shortly. And the two that sort of stick out for me are Hanako. I think they might well do Suzu and Hanako because, again, a lot of history there with the EXV, the whole having flowers stapled to your forehead, things like that. I also think Miyu Amasaki could very, very well get a surprise victory there. You've got the Neo Genesis link, of course. I feel like B. Priestley is in there to be a spoiler. But are we going to have the same thing we had last year with Bea Priestley pinning the red belt champion, then getting the chance to the world? She's just lost to Hannon for the white belt. I'm not saying they won't do that. I just think it's unlikely. But then again, my predictions are absolutely shocking. So there we go. I think Bea Priestley will probably go through into the playoffs. I think Suzu is a dead cert, especially if she's still World of Stardom champion by then. I'll be honest, I can't see them doing 2 short range back to back, but there we are. And then I'd argue probably Hanako, but then Hina has been on an absolute tear. Her and Rian were phenomenal in that closing stretch of that Artist of Stardom match, turning a really good match into a fantastic match in that last 5 minutes. Miyu Amasaki is also, incredibly well developed at the moment. Same with Aya Sakura. But for me, I feel like it's Suzu, Hanako, and B, Hina just missing out.
Lot of good points there, buddy. But I'm pretty sure Bea Priestley is going to pin Suzu Suzuki to earn a future shot. If again, and we'll get into that, Suzu's still champion. If Suzu is or isn't champion, I still think Suzu's going to go through. No, I think she's the best wrestler and the biggest star of this bunch, and that's no disrespect to this great field. It's just my opinion on Suzu. I think Suzu's just an absolutely next level competitor. And again, your new World of Stardom champion. Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to spoil that for you 10 minutes ago. But I think B beating Suzu and then getting a championship match, whether it's to the world or at the or at a Korakuen, give or take going into the fall months. You look at B now; she's got this heel persona. Since she turned heel, everybody she's wrestled hasn't been like that super aggressive, like, oh, B's gonna get her ass kicked. And that's what you want to see with your heel. Like B did really well with matches with Momo, Utami, and Syuri, especially when B was a heel, because you want to see that aggressive heel get her butt kicked. And Suzu Suzuki is that person. Like, I love Hanan. Hanan doesn't seem like the person that's gonna punch you in the mouth. She's like, we've met her before. She's the nicest person. Where Suzu is just like, okay, I'm going to give people will pay money to see Suzu get a revenge and absolutely drop B on her head several times. So I do think that B will probably get the win. But as far as going through, I'm going to go Suzu. I think Hina is a good shout. You look at what they did with Rina last year, and Hina's almost in that same position that Rina was last year. It's almost like identical, and it works. Copy an A, get an A. So I think Suzu, Hina. You didn't mention Aya Sakura. There's a possibility there because it almost seems she just needs that one thing to get her to the next level. Aya's a good shout, B's a good shout, and Hanako's a good shout. So I think Ruaka's there to play spoiler and get a lot of heat. I think Rian's there to do exactly what she did last year, just have a whole bunch of really great matches. Miyu Amasaki's another good shout as well, my friend, because you look at her ascension, especially since the Cinderella tournament this year, making it to the semifinals, and then what she's been able to do until current day. Current Goddess of Stardom champion with the Zumi. She's kind of in the middle of this Utami Saya Kamatani Queen's Quest storyline because she was a part of Queen's Quest. So you're throwing that in there. Like, there's a lot of new eyes on that. So this one's a little tricky. I can see, with the exception of, no disrespect, Rian and Ruaka, I can see everybody having a really good shot in Blue Stars A making it to the playoffs. I'll say this, though. I think Blue Stars A is the only block that I don't think we're going to see a winner or a finalist as well. I just don't see any of these wrestlers making it to the finals or winning the whole thing. The other blocks I can see, some of the other wrestlers making it to that final night or the semifinal, or the final night in Ryogoku Kakakiki, which, by the way, Rob, tickets for these shows since this announcement and the IWGP Championship match announcement, tickets are flying. It looks like Sumo Hall is going to sell out for the 5-star Grand Prix final. It's insane how hot this company is.
I can't wait to compare it to the G1 Climax just to see the comparison of where the two companies are, because we're going to talk about the number that they drew to Yoyagi very shortly. And again, obviously, we know that Stardom is at the height of its powers at the moment, and New Japan obviously going through a severe slump at the moment, but it's it really is quite enlightening to have a look at these numbers. Finally, Blue Stars B. I mean, good God, Hanan, Yuna Mizumori, Ami Syuri, Starlight Kid, Koguma, Momo, and Saya Kamatani, as well as the final qualifier. This could be any of them, with the exception of Yuna Mizumori. Sorry, Yuna. We've obviously got the rematch between Hanan and Saya Kamatani that we had last year. We've got Momo Watanabe and Saya Kamatani after all of their descent in the conversion. So we've got that as well. We've got Starlight Kid and Saya Kamatani. We know they've got beef stemming from their Red Bar match. You've got Ami Syuri, who is, again, a phenomenal wrestler, someone who Stardom are incredibly high on. Do not sleep on her in this tournament. Again, it depends who these qualifiers are. If they are, as I predict that they will be, if it is the likes of Akira Kuragane or a Matoi or an Emma Maishima, then unfortunately, in terms of five-star Grand Prix, they're a non-factor in the block. It's more a case of, like Uriah Himi last year, it's a case of how can you improve yourself? How can you develop? Are you going to sink or swim? I've got a good feeling about Momo Watanabe. Despite the fact that she won it last year, I think she's still... No, put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. I've just had a thought.
Time. We got time.
It's an interesting one because, again, with the exception of Yuna, with the exception of Koguma, again, you know, Koguma will play spoiler. Koguma will pick up those two random wins out of absolutely nowhere because that is what Koguma does. You know, I could very well see her rolling up Hanan and getting a Wonder of Stardom Championship match because God Almighty does Koguma deserve it, especially as she spends a lot of time teaming with Hazuki. Hazuki's not going to be there for the next month, 2 months. Give her something to do. Give her a singles program with Hanan. There's not a single person who watches Stardom that isn't going to be like, Hanan versus Koguma? Hell yes. Absolutely. Obviously, you've got the high-speed championship there as well. Koguma and Yuna Mizumori as well. So that's something they might retread. But dude, Starlight Kid, Saya Kamatani. That is the first match. Saya Kamatani versus Momo. That is the second match that I am highlighting right now. Those are matches we are going to be talking about in our review after the final, talking about what has been the best of the tournament. Those are two matches that I'm going to be like, yeah, absolutely. Rerun that immediately.
You know, again, we've seen this years past. The brackets are always good. You're going to get fantastic matches from every bracket, but there's always that one bracket that stands out. This is it for me.
It was Red Stars B last year.
Yeah, this is it for me. You look at, and I'm going to kind of skate around. I'm going to stop at the end. I'm going to talk about Yuna and Koguma. You look at Hanan, made it to the playoffs last year. 2024, she made it to the semifinals before losing to Saya Kamatani. Ami Syuri made it to the playoffs last year. Starlight Kid was actually my pick to win the whole thing. Didn't make the playoffs. I did get 7 out of 8 people right in the playoffs. But it wasn't Kid. But Kid made it to the playoffs in 2024. She had that phenomenal match in Shinjuku Face with Saya Kamatani. Momo Watanabe won this tournament last year. Saya Kamatani made it to the playoffs last year and was in the finals in 2024. So a lot of prestige, Rob. And again, Hanan, and then you want to talk about other tournaments. Momo Watanabe, Cinderella tournament winner. Saya Kamatani, Cinderella tournament winner. Hanan won the Cinderella tournament twice. Ami Syuri made it to the finals of the Cinderella tour. So there's a lot there. Koguma was made it to this finals of the Cinderella tournament a few times as well. So there's a lot of tournament prestige in this block. But you have Koguma and Yuna. You're absolutely right. That can play spoilers. Because it's the 5-star Grand Prix, and we see upsets all the time. You know, we talked about last year when Waka kept losing in 20-some seconds, and I was like, Rob, there's a story there. You're like, what's the story? And then she won the 3 matches in a row in under a minute. I'm like, you see? That's the story. There's going to be a story. Yuna and Koguma, the fact they might be able to roll somebody up, you know, spoiling Momo from going forward or Hanan going forward. Or
that's what I was thinking with Momo. I feel like Momo is someone who's going to get spoiled on the final night. And just looking at the final night, is she wrestling on the final night? No, so she'll be wrestling the night before Act City.
So yeah. And I believe Starlight Kid's first match, because I thought I saw her post, I think her first match is on night 2. I could have that wrong, but I think her first match is Kamatani. So if that's, I know it's early on in the tournament. So folks, if that's like good, that might be the pace setter. That really might be the pace. That's probably the match I'm looking forward to the most as far as before we get into the playoffs. It's Kamatani and Kid, because you know how much I love Kamatani and Starlight Kid. I think that Starlight Kid, as great as her career has been, I think her three best matches in her career have all been Kamatani, the Wonder Belt, the Red Belt, and that playoff match they had in Shinjuku 2 years ago. And now there's more to it. There's more to it. I'll say this, Rob. I'm just going to throw this out. Not my official prediction. Once these brackets were announced, everybody, as the show was going on, was like, yeah, clearly the final is Utami and Saya. That is the clear final. That's the clear final. And then again, spoilers. Suzu wins the red belt, and we're like, what if it's Micah that wins the tournament? And we get Micah and Sumo, or Micah and Suzu, excuse me, in Sumo Hall, because that is a story, because we still never had that big singles match between the two of them since Micah's been back. And then what if you just do Utami and Saya Kamatani, because that match is big enough. You don't need the belt, not just yet. Eventually we'll get there, because there's going to be more than one off, clearly. So what if that's a kind of like your 1-2 punch, and then you'll have an IWGP, you'll definitely have a Wonder, you'll have a Goddess. So that's my kind of train of thought. Is if you're asking me right here, right now, I got to give you a prediction. I'm saying Micah wins the whole tournament, and then we get Micah and Suzu at Sumo Hall because of the shakeup. But then again, it could be Utami as champion. I mean, I don't know. Again, there's three different ways this match next week in Korakuen Hall can go. But yeah, it's the unpredictability. How it's unpredictable. Everyone's like, it's going to be Utami and Kamatani in the final. Great, we definitely want that. But now we're shaking things up. Regardless, who is qualifying from each block? Because you can, even in this block, you can make a case for Hanan, you can make a case for Ami Sori, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, Sai Kamatani. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I love how it's unpredictable. I love how, very much like in years past, we've seen a Rion and Arena, like what they did last year. They made stars of themselves. I think Hina, you're going to see make a huge star of herself. I think you see Maki Ito really putting in really great professional wrestling work. So I'm excited. I'm a little interested to see who the two non-participants in are just yet. Is it going to be one of these younger wrestlers where it's just going to be a playoff, which we've seen before? They never made the announcement. Is it going to be something where maybe they're holding off Natsupoi and Soriano to put them in to these playoffs, to maybe draw tickets in the playoffs, where then it'll be Anu and Poi? Rob, is it going to be maybe somebody from AEW? That's a possibility. Is it going to be somebody maybe from MLW? That's a possibility. CMLL? That's a possibility. Rob, is it going to be somebody that won this tournament a decade ago, that her 90-day no compete does end sometime soon? Rob Goodwin, that's a possibility. There is a lot. Now, it couldn't just might be, Ann Kanai and Emma, and they're just in the tournament just to, lack of a better term, be pin eaters, but at the same time, get quality wrestling in like Rion did and Uriah Himi did, and make them better wrestlers. Also, we got to throw in one of our favorites, Momo Kogo. When's Momo Kogo coming back? Is she going to be fit? So I think maybe what they're waiting for is just, there's been so much announcements that's like, how much can we possibly get? Maybe they're waiting for things to cool down, and maybe we find out what they're going to do in that Korakuen Hall show coming up next week. Regardless, I mean, they can really plug just about anybody in there, and I'm going to be super excited. And the one person we didn't even mention, Rob, probably eventual winner of this tournament, Fuki and Death.
Absolutely. You don't want to announce her straight away, do you? I mean, you need to sell tickets, but you don't want to sell them all at once, do you, mate? That's just silly.
Like a clown silly.
Absolutely. I will just point out, by the way, that Starlight Kid versus Saya Kamatani, 28th of July, Korakuen Hall. Momo Watanabe versus Saya Kamatani, 3rd of August in Korakuen Hall. So saving the two big matches there for our Korakuen Hall shows. Obviously, Matt, you did mention the fact that neither Natsupoi nor Soriano make the cut this year. There's been sort of speculation online as to why this could be. Quite a few angry Western fans over the lack of inclusion, and which I obviously get. They're two fantastic wrestlers, but I do think it's something to do with the CMLL partnership. Obviously, we did have the president of CMLL come out and make an announcement that there's going to be more opportunities between Stardom and CMLL for international international travel and international opportunities. So what if it is going to be Natsupoi and Syuri that are going over to CMLL to Mexico? Maybe even a Momo Kogo as well when she comes back and is fit, maybe.
You know what, but I didn't even think about that. I thought maybe they just maybe wanted some time off. Obviously, Natsupoi is married, so we don't know. Maybe she was thinking about starting a family. We don't know Soriano's marital status, and it's none of our business. So that's something that crossed my mind. But the CML thing, I didn't even think about it, but kind of does make sense because of that working relationship with CMLL. And we've seen Momo Kogo go over there a time or two, and she's been fantastic. So yeah, that's a really good shout. So again, we'll see. And again, maybe it's something where they don't know Poi and Anu's schedule. So it could be something just as simple. Maybe I'm just, holding on to hope where it's like, hey, let's see if their schedule clears up and then we can announce them for the 5-star. So it could be something like that. But that's not a bad shout because when Teru Okada mentioned about a month ago, like these competitors aren't going to be in the 5-star Grand Prix, you figured he would have added Natsupoi and Soriano in there as well, just to be like, look, we want to be upfront with you. Here's the rest that aren't going to be in the tournament. So when they're not announced, you're not disappointed. I think everybody was super excited and jazzed for the blocks, but then a lot of people like, wait a minute, Soriano, where's she? Where's Natsupoi? So again, we'll see how everything shakes out. My guess is we'll probably have more of an idea at next week's Korakuen Hall show.
Final thing then, just before we head into some non-5-star Grand Prix news, the first night of the 5-star Grand Prix, 18th of July, in the Ibarra Wave Arena, the Outer Ward City Gym. Red Stars A, Sayaka Kurara versus that first qualifier, and Tomoka Inaba versus Itsuki Aoki. Red Stars B, Sayurida versus Azusa Inaba, and Meisera versus Rina Yamashita. Blue Stars A, Miyu Amasaki and Ruaka, and Hanako versus Aya Sakura. Momo Watanabe and Yuna Mizumori, and Blue Stars B, Koguma versus the mystery competitor there as well. They seem to have taken our complaints to heart, Matt, and have actually made it a shorter night, which is always good.
Yeah, 8 matches, and obviously, of course, we have the big championship match as well. So I'm trying to see what's going to main event. Because we've always seen in years past, like we know we had Hazuki and Julia. We know I
imagine the championship match is probably going to main event.
Yeah, what would be my guess as well? Just because you're looking at this, you really don't, with the exception of Momo Watanabe, you really don't have any constant main eventers, depending on who those X's are. So, we'll see how it winds up. But again, super excited for the tournament, super excited to see who moves on, super excited to see wrestlers get a shot at the biggest tournament in all of Joshi to see what they can do, my friend.
I will just point out as well, this pretty much negates the fact that it's going to be Natsupoi because both exes are wrestling on their show and she's already announced for that title match. So it's not going to be Natsupoi. The final night of block action then is quite interesting because the nights are more spaced out than they were before, the final night of block action hasn't got everyone involved. So we've got Micah versus that mystery qualifier and Azumi versus Rina. That I feel like is a winner goes through. Red Stars B, Meisera versus Utami, Maki Ito versus Konami. I feel like Maki Ito versus Konami could be a winner goes through as well. Matt, Suzuki versus B Priestley, man, you called it. They've put it on the final night for a reason. Would not surprise me if B pins Suzu, I suppose. We've seen one red belt challenge come from the 5-star. We've just seen a wonder, but again, they may well do it again. Hanako versus Ruaka, Amisori versus Starlight Kid, and there you go, my friend. Hanan versus Saya Kamatani as well at Act City. So you've got some real bracket busters there. Obviously, the final night, again, like I've already said, Azumi and Rina is one that I've got my eye on. Hanan versus Saya Kamatani, one I've got my eye on for this final night, Matt.
Yeah, loaded final night. Because you're right. There could be some spoilers. I'm going to throw a quick prediction out there. I'm going to say Hanan beats Saya Kamatani and gives Hanan the number 1 seed, maybe to block Kamatani from getting the bye like she did last year. Again, not my official prediction, but it's something that I could see and then Kamatani then gets her win back at that Korakuen playoff show. So it's a real good possibility. But regardless, again, super excited for all the shows. Like it seems like all the Korakuen shows, they really have some big matches to sink your teeth into. I'm expecting 1,500 people, and pretty much every Korakuen Hall show between now and the end of the 5-star Grand Prix, my friend.
Moving on from 5-star Grand Prix news, then, we did have announced today 2 bits of news. I will be perfectly honest, I saw that there was a press conference and was like, absolutely not am I checking that out. Who is leaving? I'm that way programmed now, but no, it was good news. Stardom fans, Utami Hayashi's probably the worst kept secret in all of Joshi, has officially signed exclusively with Stardom. She was presented with a ring jacket, and then Suzu Suzuki emerged and was like, hey, this is unexpected, isn't it? Guess what? I'm nominating you, and I am going to defend my belt against you at Korakuen Hall. The Korakuen Hall that's coming up in about
8 days.
8 days' time, yeah. So there you go. Didn't expect that, did you, people? And everyone was like, no, Suzu, we didn't. But we like this. Absolutely. And in my head, I'm like, what if they do with Suzu Suzuki like what Darby Allin has just done with the AEW World Championship? Just every time there's a big show, Suzu's defending that red belt. Every Korakuen, every pay-per-view, just proper going balls to the wall until eventually she can't go anymore, and that's when she loses the belt. I think that will be a great story for Suzu, because if anyone in Stardom could pull that story off, it's Suzu. I mean, irrelevant the fact that we're getting Utami versus Suzu. If you'd have told me 2 months ago, Matt, that this was going to happen for the red belt as well, like, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have laughed at you more than I already laugh at you.
Thank you. That's a lot, folks. That's a lot.
But we're getting it. We got it on a dime straight away. I mean, that you're absolutely right. That Korakuen Hall is going to sell out. And it's going to be a great match. Again, I don't see Utami winning. I see Suzu winning. I see Suzu retaining and going into the 5-star as champion. But, hell, Taro Okada does what he wants, apparently. So I'm intrigued, whatever. This is great, though. Really exciting. And we're making Korakuens big again. And this is what I love. It's what I've loved as a staple of the last 18 months. Every Korakuen, there's been something that you need to see. And for so long, they were just another show on the calendar. No title matches, despite the fact that Stardom have more titles than they know what to do with. You know, they were just 6 woman after 6 woman after 6 woman. And it's like, okay, but I get this at, the 176 box in Osaka. I don't know if Stardom have run that venue. I don't think they have. Eddie and Arena Osaka #2. We get it. We get it at Shinkiba first ring. Make Korakuen special. And that is something that Stardom have been doing. And that's why we're seeing an increase in the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I mentioned we obviously have this next week, and then we're going into the 5-star. You mentioned some of the matches we're getting in the 5-star Korakuen Hall. And again, the playoff, that big playoff show is going to be in Korakuen. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking to go to any of these shows and you're in the Korakuen area, get your tickets ASAP, because these are going to sell out. I mean, they could have done this as a special singles match, and we're like, yeah, we're all in. But the fact that it's like, yeah, it's for the championship. Like, what a press conference on a Monday. Like, Utami, I was kind of just going through my phone as I was getting ready to go to work, because that's usually when these press conferences happen. Like, yeah, Kamatani gets her jacket. She's officially member to Stardom. And I was like, oh, I kind of knew that. But then you take a step back, and let's be a little funny here. If you're Taro Okada and you just had a non-contracted wrestler pin your top star, the biggest drawing star in the 15-year history of this company, on a pay-per-view, you might want to sign him to a long-term contract. So good business decision, Taro Okada. Not bad. And then Suzu comes in and was like, yeah, we're going to have a championship match in a week's time on a Tuesday in Korakuen Hall. Fantastic. Now, the internet's abuzz that Suzu Suzuki fans are like, don't do it, Taro Okada. Don't do this. Don't put the belt on Utami Hayashi. And then Kamatani wins the 5-star, and it's Kamatani and Utami at the end of the year. Rob, I'm looking at this a couple different ways. I'm going to give you my official prediction, and I'm going to lock it in right now. When Utami was champion 5 years ago, at the end of June, didn't she have a really great hard-hitting match with somebody?
She did. She did indeed.
With Syuri. And then,
I believe so.
And then it went to a draw. And then they ran it back. after Syuri won the 5-star Grand Prix in Sumo Hall, and that was really good too. That's a possibility. What if this goes the old TLD? What if this goes the old TLD 30? I mean, who doesn't want to see these two wrestle for 30 minutes, right? What if this goes the old TLD and Suzu's like, even though I didn't win, this counts as a defense for me. And Utami was this close. And Utami just wants it that much more. And then Utami's like, okay, in order for me to get my shot back, I'm not asking. I got to win the 5-star Grand Prix. And then she becomes the first ever 2-time winner of this tournament. And they run in her and Suzu back at Sumo Hall at the end of the year. That's a possibility. The other possibility is Suzu wins. And we've seen Utami. She's one of the best wrestlers to look at the lights, but yet still come out feeling wet, like feeling bigger. That's a possibility. Or the other possibility is, yeah, just Utami wins. Like, all three of these, in my opinion, work for me. I know there's diehard Suzuki fans. I don't like the hot belting of the potato, or the belt being a hot potato, right? But now we're kind of thinking about it. Like, we're like, because we've seen it happen in the last 2 months with Sayaka Kurora and now to Suzuki, there's a lot of people like, this would make sense for Utami to win. And now we're kind of almost conditioned to it, very much like if there's a hate multi-person match, we're looking at the other side, like, which one of you is turning? Which one of you is turning? And it kind of makes you sit on the edge of your chair. Again, I think either one of those decisions is right. I'm going to say time limit draw. I'm not still going to say Utami wins the 5-star. I'm not there just yet. I'm still kind of leaning towards Micah. So we get the big Micah Suzu match for the red belt at the end of the year. But I'm still going to lean towards time limit draw. And then Utami's like, I need to try to go through a whole entire 5-star Grand Prix to get my shot back again. So there's a lot of possibilities. Regardless, if you're a professional wrestling fan, you're voting for pro wrestling. Again, Tuesday is going to be a special day. Remember a couple weeks ago, I mentioned with the Ring of Honor Global Wars show with Syuri versus Athena, I'm like, you don't have to wait for the weekend. You just have to wait till Thursday. Folks, you just got to wait till Monday, like a Monday night, Tuesday morning. We get Suzu Suzuki versus Utami Hayashishita in Korakuen Hall for the World of Stardom Championship. What a great time. What are we complaining about in life? What are we complaining about in life?
Absolutely. And yeah, of course, on Global Wars, we did in fact have Syuri versus Athena. Micah versus Diamante as well was on that show, as well as Takumi Aroha versus Hyan. So yeah, if you haven't already checked that show out, absolutely go and check that out. Someone, unfortunately, who is not going to be in the 5-star Grand Prix and is actually not going to be with Stardom at all much longer. It is a touch of thunder, Xena, who, after her match with Hanako at the pay-per-view, announced that she will be leaving the company. It was sort of an open secret. I think a lot of people had sort of put 2 and 2 together. I think Xena's been quite open on social media about the fact that she, her time was running out with Stardom. Also, Dagger did debut with AAA on Saturday, I believe. So, again, we know that they are an item. They've been together for a long time. And Xena has said, look, I've been in Japan for 3 years. I didn't realize it had been that long, to be fair. I've been in Japan for 3 years. I'm going to go off and try something else. And absolutely, there's been reports coming out that the chances are people are expecting her to either crop up in AAA or in WWE. And do you know what? I wish her nothing but the best. She has been an absolute delight to watch in Stardom. She's been exciting. She's been something completely different to a lot of what we've seen otherwise. Just generally seems like a lovely person as well. So wishing her nothing but the best, Matt.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's NXT because I've been watching a little bit more of the NXT women's division with the Lola Vices, with the Kendall Gray, who's phenomenal, with the Kalani Jordan. I think her throwing her in that current division is going to be fantastic. And then when your producer is Shawn Michaels, and then you have coaches there like Matt Bloom, like Steve Carino, William Regal, doesn't really hurt either, Rob. Doesn't hurt either. I'm excited for what's next for Xena. And again, I'm hoping it's NXT because I've been watching a little more of the NXT women's division. And again, it's because of a good buddy, Darren Chatton, giving me certain things like, buddy, you need to take time to watch this match. And he's hit home run after home run. He's 100%. Might not be 100% on his favorite football team, Rob, but you know what? None of us are perfect. So
no one can bat 1,000. No one can bat 1,000.
No.
He can give us time cues. He just can't support the right football team, but it's fine. Don't you worry. Anyway, something else I did just want to briefly touch on, something we've talked about. Syuri did retain the IWGP Women's Championship against Rina Yamashita in a match we're going to be talking about very soon in what was probably the lock of the night on that pay-per-view. But she was challenged by Natsupoi. And that has been confirmed for the opening night of the 5-star Grand Prix, which is why it makes sense that Natsupoi is not in the 5-star, as both those qualifiers will be wrestling on that night as well. And she's not pulling double duty, wrestling in a block match and then wrestling a match against Syuri, because we know that nobody takes a beating from Syuri like Natsupoi. This is going to be great. I'm really excited about this. It's been a while for Natsupoi. She seems to have been treading water for a long time. I know that she had the Artist of Stardom Championship match, but you know, that aside, it feels like she's been sort of directionless a little bit since losing the Wonder Belt, really. There was that whole, you know, I think someone was calling it the Summer of Poi, where she had that great match with Saya Kamatani and Sapporo, and everyone was like, oh my God, Natsupoi's winning the 5-star. She's going to win the 5-star. She's going to win the belt for Tam at Dream Queendom. And quite literally, none of that happened. So since then, really, Natsupoi has sort of been kept sort of hidden, doing what she does very, very well in undercard tags, being very entertaining with Syuri, I know. And yeah, here she's now on the main stage against Syuri for this IWGP Women's Championship, which is going to be fantastic. I still think Syuri will retain, but again, this is a match that we will certainly be talking about at the end of the year when we do the Stardom Cast Awards. I guarantee we are talking about this match.
Yeah, I think that one of our favorite matches in the 2023 5-star Grand Prix was Syuri versus Natsupoi. I know that was one of our favorites. This is going to be terrific. You're absolutely right. Nobody takes a beating from Syuri better than Natsupoi, but then Syuri also makes sure that Natsupoi, that firing up, I mean, that crown splitter spin kick is yikes. I mean, it's in there. You know, Syuri's going to make sure that Natsupoi, fires back on her comeback. This is going to be great. This is just adding on to what is going to be a fantastic show on night one of the 5-star Grand Prix. And now we're putting two of the best wrestlers on planet Earth in a championship match, as you mentioned before, partner, more than likely the main event for the IWGP Joshi Championship with Syuri versus Natsupoi. Not bad, buddy. You know, not going to be a bad show in the Oda Ward gym, which I think I'm out. It's going to be tough for me not to call it that.
I'm going to keep calling it Oda Ward, so yeah, that's fine.
Like the ECW arena. Yeah. Like my wife's like, are you going to the 2300 arena? I'm like, what's that?
The what? Sorry? The pardon? But no, yeah, I completely agree. I know that Natsupoi has appeared on a little bit more New Japan programming with a marriage to Shingo, who got a big cheer, by the way, in Yoyogi when she mentioned that she'd got married. But again, I think Syuri's doing great work with this belt, is putting on banger matches after banger matches, and I think it'll be another one in the catalog, but it'll be a Syuri retention, one thinks. Speaking of banger matches, Matt, I don't know if you knew this, but Hazuki's quite a good wrestler. And so is Mercedes Moné. And unbelievably, when you put these two women together in a ring and give them time, they're going to put on a pretty good match. And sure enough, the predictable happened. I think everyone knew Mercedes Moné was going to win. Although when you look at the other side of the bracket, who the hell knows? Hell yes, Maya World. Hashtag Maya World. But this was fantastic. What one introduction to Hazuki for AEW fans who didn't know who she was, because this was phenomenal. Mercedes Moné at one point literally begging Hazuki off, literally going, I've had enough. Please don't hit me anymore. Loved it. Absolutely. I mean, we knew what they were capable of doing anyway because of, was it Strong Style Evolved? In December of 2024, and that was a great match. That was a fantastic match. One of the matches of the year for me in terms of women's wrestling. But this was great. This was on a Dynamite as well. It wasn't even on a pay-per-view. It was such a good match. Go out of your way to check this one out.
Yeah, my one little concern was maybe they weren't going to get enough time. Went over 20 minutes. I think it was like
I was
20
just going to say.
That was my concern going in. I was like, well, they're really hyping this. I mean, who knows? But I mean, they gave them 20 some odd minutes. These two tore down the house, especially whoever idea it was for Hazuki to do 3 suicide dives was genius, because that's where the crowd was like, because everyone's gonna chant Mercedes. I know she's supposed to be a heel, but like she's like Saya Kamatani. Like she's so great, she's so over, and she's such a great wrestler that you can kind of boo her because it's kind of fun. But at the end of the day, like everybody loves Mercedes. And then Hazuki does the 3 dives, and from that point on, everybody's into Hazuki. They're into the falsies and everything that she's doing. And then it gets to the point, those last 2 or 3 blitzing minutes, where it's just like, yeah, we love both Hazuki and Mercedes Moné. Like it could have went either way, and they still would have got the pop. But this was phenomenal. I'd like their match from Strong Style Evolved just a little bit better, but this was still there. I mean, this is one of the best women's TV matches we have seen all year. Exactly, you're right. Free TV, AEW Dynamite. You figured between TBS, HBO Max, and then what they're going to do when they put it on YouTube, probably well over 1 million views. So, 1 million eyes on Hazuki in the ring with, in my opinion, the biggest star in women's wrestling in North America, and one Mercedes Moné. And Mercedes Moné, very much like Utami Hayashi, is very unselfish. She always gives a lot to her opponents. We've seen that. With victory or defeat, a lot of wrestlers have their best matches with Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné, this run that she's been on since leaving the WWE, the former Sasha Banks, now becoming Mercedes, is just, it's done so much for her, where it's like she can just be her own boss, for lack of a better word. Rob, I didn't even mean to do that. And she's just having great matches. And I think she's having her best matches with the Joshis, the Hazukis, the Minas, the Momos, the Mayu, that one match we got. So it's be interesting to see. I think that, with the final being on this weekend, my guess is Mercedes does win. And, is it Mercedes and Tekla, Rob? Or again, myself and Andy Header a few months ago, we got the exclusive. We asked Mercedes Moné, who's the one wrestler that she hasn't wrestled that she wants to wrestle without even batting an eye. She said Starlight Kid. So do we dare to dream? Do we have Mercedes Moné versus Starlight Kid at Wembley Stadium, Rob? We'll be there. So
imagine if Starlight Kid walks into Wembley Stadium as the AEW World Women's Champion. Like,
stranger things have happened, buddy.
Stranger things have happened.
But yeah, just to put on, but this match was amazing. I mean, we knew it was going to be. This was incredible, and I'm just so glad Hazuki got this spotlight. And again, so much credit goes to Mercedes Moné, giving Hazuki majority of the match. I mean, go back and watch. Obviously, Mercedes obviously gets the win, but Hazuki did have about like 55-60% of this match, which again just goes to show you what a unselfish wrestler Mercedes is. And you're absolutely right. Like just the begging off, not only that, but Mercedes facials when Hazuki's kicking out of all of her big moves. Like she is a great seller, especially when it's just like, what do I need to do to beat this person? Just having those facial expressions on a kick out gets her opponent over. Again, it's just the little things and the big things that Mercedes does right. And Hazuki, man, what a fantastic run she's having here in North America. I'm excited what she's going to be doing on all these independent shows coming up, Rob, because I know there's one match that you definitely do want to talk about.
Well, that'll be in a minute, but actually, I'm going to give you some kudos, Matt Turner, because you called this, good sir. So Hazuki has also announced, and I think I touched on this earlier, that her US excursion will be slightly longer than everybody else's. So she's going to start it from the start of July. And because we had, obviously, herself, Ron Yagami, Syuri, and Fuwa-chan announced for a whole slew of matches in the US, Matt Turner said the immortal words, "I wonder if we're going to get a Spark Joshi show." The words had not left his mouth before it was announced that Spark Joshi are going to be running their Nothing Else Matters show with Pro Wrestling Magic at the Mecca in New Jersey on the... I did have the date, July 12th. I thought it was. July 12th. And Hazuki has been confirmed for that show, as well as a meet and greet with her as well. So if you are in New Jersey, and I happen to know a podcast co-host who lives remarkably close to New Jersey, but again, he doesn't want to go down to Texas, so he probably won't go down to New Jersey. But yes, we don't know who she's going to be facing. I believe Rana has also been announced for this show as well. So if you haven't met Rana Yagami, definitely go and check out this show because she's awesome. Yeah, nothing else matters. Sport Joshi Pro Wrestling Magic, 12th of July at the Mecca in New Jersey. So well done, Matt Turner. Well called.
Yeah, I do like how Nothing Else Matters, the Metallica song. You look at the font in this, it's ripped right
font
off of Metallica. Absolute copy and get an A. Easy thing to promote. Yeah, with Hazuki, Rani Yagami, we see who else is going to be announced. My guess, possibly Fuwa-chan, possibly Syuri as well. We'll see how that goes. And more than likely, I think 90%, myself and Andy Header will be on hand for this show to cover it for the podcast. So again, I know Rob is still mad at me that I did not drive like 19 hours from northeastern Pennsylvania.
16 hours.
No, excuse me. Excuse me.
It was 16 for a Hanako match.
New Texas Pro match. How dare I? Where is my commitment? What a lazy guy. But more than likely, I will probably be going to this show. So yeah, some more on that later on, my friend.
Final thing I just want to talk about is that aforementioned match. Hazuki, we did talk about last week, has been announced for Warrior Wrestling's block party on the 19th of July in Crown Point, Indiana. We now know her opponent for that match will be the Death Riders, Marina Shafir. Can you imagine if it had been the Death Riders, John Moxley? No, it's Marina Shafir. Marina Shafir versus Hazuki, which... that's going to be very, very tasty, isn't it? And obviously for us fans in Europe, is it My AEW? It is. I've got it. I don't know why I don't know what it's called. My AEW has announced that Warrior Wrestling will stream on My AEW, which means that I can watch this match, which is very, very, very exciting because this is going to slap.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Styles make fights. This is going to be smash mouth, bowling shoe ugly, to quote Jim Ross, right up my alley. And Marina Shafir, for those of you who do have Wrestle Universe, I advise type in Marina Shafir versus Shoko Nakajima. They did have a match from, I forget the name of the promoter. It might be Warriors of Wrestling. They did have a match about a year and a half ago, and it was phenomenal. So I think Marina Shafir working with the Joshi talent is something really special. Working with somebody that has a very similar style to her. I know obviously Marina Shafir is way better at the submissions than Hazuki, but however, there's going to be a lot of forearms, a lot of kicks to the face. This is going to be, Rob, as you say, my jam. So this is going to be almost kind of like an international dream match that we didn't know we wanted until it was announced. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
It was Defy.
That's who it was. Yeah. I knew it was in the Portland area there.
It's Defy. No, Defy isn't Moxley's promotion, is it? I think
that's Revolver.
Revolver, isn't it? It's him and Sammy Callahan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Defy has just been bought by Big Damo and Nikki Cross, I believe. Because they've just bought Progress here in the UK as well. So good for them. Anyway, Matt, we have dilly-dallied enough. Let's talk about the Conversion 2026, which of course went down on pay-per-view on the 20th of June 2026. Live from Yoyogi National Gymnasium number 2 in Tokyo. Friend of the show, Armani Shoe Exchange, was actually in attendance for this show. So I hope you had a great time if you are listening, Armani. 2,844 people in attendance, which Stardom have confirmed to be a complete sellout of the venue. It's a 12.81% increase on their previous house at the venue, which was 2,521 for last year's The Conversion, which was obviously main evented by Syuri and Syuri. That was also their previous highest attendance of the previous 6 times they'd run the venue. I did a little bit of research, and the number 2,844 is the highest drawn to the venue this year of any promotion, beating out both of New Japan's shows from earlier in 2026. It's actually the highest wrestling attendance in Yoyogi since the 3,450 drawn to Sendai Girls is the top of Joshi Pro Wrestling on the 19th of March 2025, and it's the second highest number at the venue post-pandemic, which is a really quite astonishing figure when you think about it. And I know that the 3,000 plus is slightly controversial, I believe, from Sendai Girls. I think it was slightly inflated, or some people believe it to be slightly inflated. But even so, 2,844, the second highest post-pandemic attendance in Yoyogi is a fairly substantial claim to have for Stardom. So an excellent number there. In terms of your quick results then, the first two pre-show matches, Yuna Mizumori defeated Matoi with a Tropicana in 5 minutes and 47 seconds. In a singles match, in perhaps the most controversial moment of the entire pay-per-view, Meisera defeated Emma Maishima with a dropkick in 9 minutes and 10 seconds, skullduggery at hand. We then got on to the main card proper. We opened with Aya Sakura defeating Ankanai with a bridging German suplex in 7 minutes and 19 seconds. Three-way tag team match next. The God's Eye team of Ronnie Yagami and Kyoka Katatsu defeated Maika and Kogame, and the Mavida Loka team of Akira Kuragane and Itsuki Aoki, with Ronnie Yagami pinning Akira with the beat strike in 5 minutes and 31 seconds. Artist of Stardom Championship match, Dream Trine, Ami Sourei, Hina, and Lady C. They successfully defended their championships for the second time in 7 days. Also, the first time the belts have been defended on the conversion. They defeated the Ito Respect Army team of Maki Ito, Kikyo Furusawa, and Rian. Hina pinning Rian with a mad splash in 16 minutes and 2 seconds. 8-woman tag, Natsupoi, Syuri, Hazuki, and Fuwa-chan defeated Hate, Natsuko Tora, Ruaka, Azusa Inaba, and Fukigen Death, with Natsupoi rolling up Fukigen Death with the Fairy Magic in 8 minutes and 19 seconds. Singles match, Xena defeated Hanako with the Thunder Roll in 10 minutes and 18 seconds. 8-woman tag match, Azumi, Miyu Wamasaki, Starlight Kid, and Utami Hayashishita defeated Hate, Saya Kamatani, Momo Watanabe, Konami, and B. Priestley. Utami pinning Saya with the BT bomb in 15 minutes and 18 seconds. We are going to do the mother of all victory laps after that. When we're talking about that match. IWGP Women's Championship match, Syuri, the champion, defeated Rina Yamashita, submitted her with the White Tiger in 21 minutes and 18 seconds. Wonder of Stardom Championship match, Hanan, the champion, defeated Sayuri, rolling her up with the 17 in 19 minutes and 36 seconds. And then in your main event, World of Stardom Championship match, Suzu Suzuki defeated Sayaka Kurora with a German suplex in 21 minutes and 32 seconds to become the 22nd World of Stardom champion, ending the reign of Sayaka Kurora at 55 days and making it the third shortest reign of a World of Stardom champion. Now, Matt, obviously the lowest is Natsuko Tora at 33 days. Can you name the only other, and I bet you can, the only other World of Stardom champion that has not made it to the second shortest, between 33 and 55?
Io Shirai. All right, so let's get into this. No,
what even happened to her?
Alpha female.
It was. Do you remember how many days?
Was it 29?
43.
I was close. Numbers. I had numbers in there.
Yeah, you did. It was 2 digits. You got that right, didn't you? So before we delve into the show, Matt, obviously loads of things coming out of this. We saw Tekla attempt to shave the head of Taro Okada in genuinely one of the funniest run-ins I've ever seen. The camera work for that was stupendous. You just saw Tekla emerge like with the clippers that clearly weren't on. I thought that was brilliant, really well done. And then Starlight Kid saving the day before she takes that belt into Wembley Stadium, apparently. We obviously have a new World of Stardom champion. We have unit movement, which we knew we would. We also called beat for beat the Queen's Quest tag match. So well done, us. Hell of a long pay-per-view. A really long pay-per-view. 5.5 hours, but a really, really, really good show.
Yeah, I do want to touch upon before I forget because there's so much that came out of here. The Tekla Starlight Kid thing, because even Andy Heder did call it. He actually, when we were talking about this on Talk Joshi, his idea was Tekla is going to interfere onto Starlight Kid to build their matchup. But he did get
Yeah,
Tekla would be flying over unannounced 14, 15 hours just to promote her a match for coming out for Forbidden Door,
fair
which
play
good on
to him.
her. Well, good on her. But I mean, there's a couple things I do want to touch upon. This was great. Like this whole show was great, but this segment with Tekla, Okada, and then Kid
So
was
funny.
done so well for a lot of reasons. One, the camera work. Two, like she had clippers, like hair clippers. There wasn't a hair versus hair match. Like, what were they doing out there? Like, it'd be one thing if like, oh, we're doing a hair match or like a hair versus match. Like, what were the clippers even doing out there at the timekeeper's table? Something else too, and this is kind of popped me. It's almost like an inside joke with me and Amber. Whenever we're watching AEW and there's like a big beatdown after a match and they're ringing the bell, me and her always joke like, "Yeah, they're ringing the bell. Why don't they just stop?" It's never happened. Like you've never seen like back in the '80s, like the Horsemen beating down Dusty, and then they're ringing the bell and they just stop. Or like back in the Rob, obviously you know you're writing books on it. The Monday Night Wars with the NWO are beating up Sting and Luger. And then could you just imagine there's like a 9-on-2 beatdown at the end of Nitro and they're ringing the bell? And then Kevin Nash is just like, guys, they're ringing the bell. Like, my bad. My bad. It's never happened. So when they were, Amber and I be watching AW, I'm like, they're ringing the bell. Like, why? What click? Don't they hear it? And then she'll be like, ring it again. Keep ringing it. Maybe they didn't hear it. Maybe they'll eventually stop. So not only, but here's the funny thing: Clippers. Why? I still thought it was funny. What? It'd be one thing if Tekla brought them, but they just happened to be on the table and she grabbed them. And then there's that constant bell ringing, but there's no match. Like, what are you
No.
ringing the bell for? But it just made. I heard Jim Cornette talk about this about 2 years ago. When the bell is ringing, it's adding on to what you're seeing. It's almost like when you're driving by, and I mean you're driving by an accident and then you hear like the sirens of like the fire trucks. It's got your attention. It's something that like you don't want to see but you can't keep your eyes off it, and that's what the ringing of the bell does during these beatdowns, right? And it's happened for years. It's continue to happen. So you have the hedge clippers, the ringing of the bell, and then Starlight Kid, or excuse me, Tekla throws Okada in the ring, takes the belt off, starts whipping Okada, and then she goes to spit on the logo. And then Teru Okada jumps on the logo that's on the mat, protecting the Stardom name.
It's Carney in the best possible way.
And then you're just waiting. You know what's going to happen. You're waiting for it.
Absolutely.
You're waiting for it. And here comes Kid, and she beats the crap out of Tekla. She goes for the moonsault. Tekla leaves, but she leaves the belt in the ring. And there's that shot with Kid holding up the belt. What a great way
It was
to
good.
build their
Really good.
match. And I'm not just saying this, I'm a Tekla fan and I'm a Starlight Kid fan. And obviously I'm a Stardom fan. Honestly, I'm a massive AEW fan. Like Forbidden Door, it looks like a really fun show. This is easily the best built match of the entire show. Like it's not, I don't even know what's number 2 is. It's easily and it'll be a great show because we have all this great talent in there. And obviously AEW really delivers on pay-per-view. But with the work that Tekla's doing, it's easily the best built match on the show coming up this weekend, partner.
Yeah, the Forbidden Door show, with the exception of the Team MJF, Team Briscoe cage match, a lot of it seems very thrown together. But I think that's something that always happens with the Forbidden Door pay-per-views because of certain championships and things like that. I know Shota Umino versus Pac is going to be very, very good from a wrestling standpoint. I just really wish, just finishing off on that Tekla Starlight Kid segment, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a match in 2019. It was The Miz versus Bray Wyatt. And it was TLC match, weapons, and basically Bray Wyatt had broken into the Miz's house, had threatened his family. It was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. Anyway, Bray Wyatt is in the ring, ready for his match, and the Miz comes out. Now, Matt, do you know what I wouldn't be doing had a man broken into my house and started threatening my family? My full goddamn entrance. He did the spin, he did the points, he was doing the awesome. I was really hoping that instead of just kids running down and helping, she was going to do a full entrance. Do the full entrance as Teru Okada is desperately protecting the Stardom logo. Just really would have made me like, can you hurry up, kid?
That was like, I think it was WrestleMania. I don't know if it was an indie show or WrestleMania weekend, but it was something obviously years ago where like Spike Dudley's getting beat down by all the heels and the Sandman's music hits. Like, oh, he's saving his form. You know where I'm going. Like, yeah. You're like, oh, he's
Bum,
coming
bum,
down.
bum, bum, bum.
He's coming down to save his former ECW guy. And it was a huge show. They drew a really good crowd. And it's like a 5-on-1 beatdown on poor Spike Dudley. And dun, dun, dun. Here comes the Sandman, and he's drinking the beer. And blah, 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 blah. It's just like, I get that people want to see it. It's to see the entrance, but it's like your whole point is to come down. At the same time, it's like, who's not going to say no to that giant Sandman? And we did kind of see it when we were there for Sabu's last match. It's just like, I kind of want to see the entrance, but that's kind of the exception to the rule. But I know what you're saying. I do remember that with the Miz, because I remember telling Amber, like, not for nothing. Somebody came in and threatened Lily and you. Like, yeah, all bets are off. Like, all bets are off. But yeah, and we would have saw a completely different side of the Miz. Anywho, I don't know how we went from the Miz to Starlight Kid, but regardless, I'm excited for the match. What a great, again, this whole show was great. The fact that they threw that in there as well, and it was done. I mean, Okada played his part right. Starlight Kid as well. Tekla, just unbelievable. What a tear she is on between the promos and her in-ring work, and the fact she's calling these wrestlers that we can't say. I'm absolutely loving it. My guess is we'll see a little bit of a Tekla run sometime in Stardom. I think eventually Tekla's going to probably drop that belt, probably in Wembley, probably to Mercedes. But man, I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm definitely excited. And again, I'm really excited for Starlight Kid, for the world to see what Starlight Kid can do, kind of like what we're seeing right now with Hazuki, my friend.
Yeah, Starlight Kid, the one who many call the Miz of Stardom. Moving on then, the opener on the pre-show, Matoya Hamabe and Yuna Mizumori. Something that Stardom are trying to do, and it's becoming very clear, is that they are trying to blood a new high-speed division, because obviously, as we've mentioned before on this podcast, the old guard of the high-speed division are very much looking on to other things, and hopefully Mei Seira is onto bigger and better things sooner rather than later. And I feel like this and the match after this were auditions for that. And I think both Matoy here and Emma in the next match, both women passed this with flying colors. I absolutely loved Matoy in this match. Yes, it only went 5 minutes, but I thought she did a very good job matching Yuna's pace, matching Yuna's power, and producing a really good high intensity opening match.
You think about this is a throwback to those high speed matches back in the Zumi, the Hazuki days, the Starlight Kid, like some of those ones that go like 6-7 minutes, but like don't blink. And that's what this was. And what a great way to start the show. Free on YouTube. You know, fans are just getting warmed up. I think this is great. I'm all about Matoy. I think Yuna is going to have some great matches in the 5-star Grand Prix. How can she not with the field she's in? This is a great way to start the show. 3.5 stars. I totally agree with you, buddy. This was almost a preview of what could be a future high-speed championship match, and I'm all for it. When they decide to run this back, and I think they will, I mean, this is going to be one that a lot of eyes are going to be on, because Matoy was great here, and again, Yuna is one of the unsung heroes in this loaded Stardom roster.
Next, we have the greatest robbery arguably in the history of wrestling. You can take your Montreal Screwjob. You can take the original Screwjob. This needs vindication right now. I would argue that Mei Seira is the biggest heel since Hulk Hogan in 1996. Not only was Emma Maishima's shoulder up at the count of 2, never mind 3, the referee's bloody looking at it. Disgraceful officiating, Matt Turner. Where's Harvey Whippleman when we need him?
Oh, man. Dr. Harvey Whippleman.
Dr. Harvey Whippleman. One-time women's champion, Harvey Whippleman.
Well, since we compared Starlight Kid to The Miz, who's the ref here? Was it Barb or was it Daichi?
I don't think it was either.
Well, whoever that person is the Dr. Harvey Whippleman of Stardom.
Well, I was like, that's that, because she obviously, I knew that Mei Seira won with a drop kick. She hit one drop kick, Mei Seira kicked out of the shooting star. I was like, oh, cool, they're probably giving Emma a run. Hits another drop kick, and I was like, okay, this must be the end. Then Emma kicked out. I was like, oh, okay, we're going to carry on. And then the ref looked at her with a shoulder up and then counted 3. And I was like, the hell is this?
I'll tell you what I think happened in a second. This match was great, very much like the first match.
Very good.
This is another. You get back-to-back high-speed matches. That's what this was. Unity, the current champion, May Sarah, one of the best champions in the history of the division. Still, even though now she's moving her way up towards that main event scene. By the way, May Sarah versus Suzuki for the red belt. Can we run that back, Rob? I'm just putting that out there in the ether. Who doesn't want to see that?
Star implode. Absolutely.
With the red belt on the line. Yes, please. Yes, Kudasai. But this was, again, we had 2 back-to-back high-speed matches, and I'm all for it. This was great. 3 3/4 stars for me. I thought Emma in a loss showed she can hang with the only wrestler that's just as fast, if not faster than Azumi in one May Sarah. I like the new look May Sarah here. I think she has like a fresh coat of paint on her going into the summer months and the 5-star Grand Prix. I thought this was terrific. Now, to kind of have my wrestling brain on, I think maybe because we had the CMLL thing come up right after this. And then after that, we were moving into the pay-per-view. We're getting off the YouTube feed going on the pay-per-view. My guess is it was running a little bit too long, and they might have buzzed the ref and was like, count it. You got to count it to get it out because we need to get time to get the CMLL thing in there. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Because clearly she kicked out, and the ref was like, I have no choice. Yeah, it was right there. You know what I mean? It was right there. It's just like, we need to get on because because if they cut the CMLL thing instead of the match, that wouldn't look good for Stardom and CMLL. You have a partnership coming in here at CMLL that everybody's loving. If you have to cut something, you cut this match. You know what I mean? So it's just, that would be my guess as why the ref blatantly, not unless they do. We're doing a lot of WWF stuff here. Maybe it's the Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and May Sarah are in cahoots, and he's paying off the referees like he did back in the 80s and 90s. But that would be my guess. It was just they were running out of time. The YouTube feed was we got to get off the YouTube feed to get onto the pay-per-view. We have this thing with CMLL. We don't want to cut them, so we need to take this home. That would be my guess.
Yeah, because how long did this go? I think it went. Yeah, it
9
went
minutes and 10
minutes.
Yeah. 3 3/4 stars. I absolutely loved it.
We got on to the main card proper with Aya Sakura and Ann Kanai. We do have an end date in sight for the final of Ann Kanai's Cosmic Angels Trials. That is going to be the Korakuen Hall 30th of June show. But just down to her gear, the way she enters the ring and her Videotron, she's basically a Cosmic Angel anyway. If ever there was a rookie that screams Cosmic Angel, it's Ann Kanai. And then she went and took the fight to Aya Sakura, which I absolutely loved.
This was great. A great way to start the show proper. Aya Sakura getting a win and getting a little momentum going into the 5-star Grand Prix. Again, Rob, there is a possibility she makes it into that playoff. But I like hear what we're doing with Ann Kanai. You're absolutely right. I mean, she's right there. You're almost at the finish line. Just punch it in. Make her a member of Cosmic Angels at this point. Ann Kanai is just fantastic. This roster is so loaded that you look at these rookies or these wrestlers that are coming off their rookie year, like Akira, like a Matoi, like a Emma, and like an Ann Kanai as well. And Ann Kanai has a lot of charisma. She has a lot of star power, and it's only going to get better, especially as her wrestling skills catch up to her star power. And then we're going to put her in Cosmic Angels as well. So I'm all for that. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I liked it towards the end where Aya just kind of had a blitzer and then hitting her with that beautiful German suplex. I don't think we talk enough about how great of a German suplex Aya Sakura has. Obviously, we talk about the best Germans, Hashimoto, Chiro Hashimoto, Utami. They're kind of in the top round, but Aya Sakura's is getting up there as well. She has a really great bridge on the toes with the German suplex. I love this. 3.5 stars for me. Or excuse me, 3.5 stars.
There you go. Bring it back. Three-way tag match. This was just comedy. You know, this was there to get people on the card, to get a couple of laughs, to get some palate cleansed before we head into the rest of the card. New gear for Micah, though. Were you a fan of the new gear, Matt?
I loved everybody's new gear on this one. And so did one Andy Header. So he had a tough one to pick, by the way. I still keep you guys on the hook on that one. Yeah. Micah looked really good. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we have 6 wrestlers. We're going a little over 5 minutes. So there really wasn't too much to sink your teeth into, which we knew that's what this match was going to be. But it was fun. You had a lot of really great, cool stuff there. I want to see that Kyoto Katatsu versus Micah match, Rob. Maybe we didn't mention her. There's a possibility she's in the 5-star Grand Prix. So again, we'll see on that later. Rana getting the win, building a little more momentum before she comes overseas, and she beats up some people. See what I did there, Rob? See what I did
do.
there? 3.25 stars for me.
If there is any match, because again, this show is pretty damn good top to bottom. If there's any match that I would suggest maybe miss out if you're running short of time in 5.5 hours worth of pay-per-view, it's this one. You don't need to watch this one. Artist of Stardom Championship match, though, this was fantastic. And do you know what? This was even better in that closing run between Hina and Ryan. The crowd were eating out of the palm of their hands for this closing stretch. But before I get into that, Matt Turner, new dance for the Ito Respect Army, new song for the Ito Respect Army. I know that El Desperado has been choreographing their entrance dance, and I know that Ryan has been working very, very hard on nailing those dance moves. And while she nailed the dance moves, Matt, she did not nail the lip syncing. In fact, at one point, I don't even think she was trying. I think, bless her, because Kikyo Furusawa was sort of getting through the song, but was doing the dance. Ryan, you can tell, and this is what I would be doing, very much, right, this step, then this step, then this step, then this step. I can't do two things. I can't lip sync and do the dance. So she was dancing and holding the microphone there. That was it. Maki Ito's giving it everything. She was tremendous. She was the star. Ryan was like, 1 foot, left foot, spin, okay, point at Kikyo, okay, point at Maki, okay, and then she got into the ring and then just stopped singing altogether. Just, I'm done with this now. And that really made me laugh. And also, where's her gear? She has gear that matches.
She brought it once. Yeah.
She brought it once in KBS Hall. This is Yoyogi. It's a pay-per-view.
Almost 2,900 people. Crowd's red hot. Championship match. One of the biggest matches of your career. You figured you'd break it back out. You know, maybe not let something tore, it didn't fit properly. Again, my wrestling brain kind of goes all over. And she came out in that pink gear. I was like, it looks awesome. Don't get me wrong, but like, you have matching gear to go with Kikyo Furusawa, Maki Ito. You showed it once. It looked great. Why is it not here? But regardless, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like Rihanna was. I can only do one or two things. That's it. I can't overload it. And I tell you, the one thing she did almost better than anybody in this match was wrestle. Because darn might I say she might have been the MVP of this match. I'm going to go with Hina, but fantastic. Like Maki Ito, Kikyo Furusawa, the teamwork. Give me Maki Ito and Kikyo Furusawa versus Ami Sourei and Lady C. Maybe at that Korakuen next week. Like that's a match I really want to see. You're right. You had the double teams, the triple teams, like the Ito Respect Army having really great triple teamwork. We've seen them with the triple stunners before, so we know we're establishing that. But you're absolutely right. You do get just this fantastic mini match toward the end with Hina and Ryan. That was just, it was chef's kiss. It was fantastic. Pardon me, it just goes to show you what a great wrestler Rihanna has turned into these last 8 or 10 months. And again, Hina is somebody that is going to send up the card. Like we a couple years ago, we're like, Hanan is so good. Can her sisters catch up? And then 2 years ago, we're like, I don't know. We're like, Rena's almost there. And now she's there. I'm like, oh, we're like, poor Hina, just getting left in the dust. We're like, well, not so much. She's caught up. Literally, if somebody told me that they think Hina's the best wrestler of the three, you can make an argument for all three, which is saying something, which just really goes to show you how great these three wrestlers are and are going to continue to be, because I think Hina and Rena are only like 18, 19 years old, where Hanan, I think, is like 22, 23. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches of how great these three are. I would like to see them. They ever bring back Dream Tag Festival, I'd like to see Hanan, Hina, and Rena team up against any three wrestlers and stuff. I would just wonder what that would look like, or at an Atsunamayo show in the Light Cube, like, because that's like kind of like their hometown show. Like, what would that look like? Like, just for fun, I think it would be something really entertaining. As we're getting here towards the end, we have Hina with the ghetto clutch onto Ryan for a 2 count. Ami Sourei and Lady C, they come in clear house with boots and lariats to all. I do like how Ami and Lady C are just kind of towards the end, just batting up cleanup. Like, all right, Hina, go put away Ryan. And then anytime Kikyo and Maki Ito would come in, like, okay, we got to come back in and clean this up. But go ahead, you go and do your thing. But then we do get some near falls here with Ryan onto Hina with the apricot, with that backside she does into the jackknife. For a brief second, I was like, they're going to be changing the belts here. That what just does a great job kind of blurring the lines of who's going to win for at least a split second or two. We do get Hina hitting a crucifix bomb, or Ryan, excuse me, hitting a crucifix bomb onto Hina. We've seen Rion do the crucifix bomb quite a bit. I figured maybe since Mayu's no longer with the company, maybe that's what she stole from Mayu. We've seen, and she does that really well. That scored a 2.9 count. Hina comes back with a forearm and a stalling Hina hammer. And when she had Rion stalling in the Hina hammer, the crowd got nuclear. Like the crowd was into everything. Every match got over, but this one is one of the ones that really got over. Then we get the 3D Rion and then Hina putting away Stone Cold Rion with the Mad Splash. I do like how Stone Cold Rion, he had to take the Hina hammer, the 3D from all three members here of God's Eye, and the Mad Splash to put away Rion. It was like they had to empty out the entire moveset to put away Stone Cold Rion. 4.25 stars again. Kikyo was great. Makita was terrific, but absolutely, but I don't think anybody will argue the stars of this match and the best part of this match was that mini match we had with Hina and Rion. Again, just goes to show you in a company that's got Momo Watanabe, Sai Kamatani, Suzu Suzuki, Utami Hayashishita, Zumi, Starlight Kid, so on and so forth, that you can highlight two wrestlers and be like, boy, they're really good. They're really good. It really is an embarrassment of riches. And again, it's why I firmly believe the best roster in all of wrestling is the World Wonder Ring Stardom. 4.25 stars for me, my friend.
Now, Matt, we often praise the coolness, the aura of which Syuri Ano both enters the ring and wrestles. And she often, we call her one of the most elastic people we've ever met, or ever seen, should I say. However, what this match did prove is that even Syuri Ano is human, and it turns out that Hazuki's face scrapes are a little bit more difficult to execute than Hazuki makes them look, because Syuri Ano fell spectacularly on her face during it, which was quite funny. Credit to Azusa Inaba, though, who just got straight up and started beating her up to try and cover it up, which was hilarious. Before I just throw to you on that point, I do just want to highlight Fuwa-chan, who was at her delightfully eccentric best during this entrance. When I used to play football, Matt Turner, I was a defender. And defender don't score many goals, okay? We're at the back, we stop goals, okay? Don't know what the equivalent is for United States people who don't follow football, but there we go, okay? I'm stood at the back, I don't score very often. And what we do as young boys, we imagine, what celebration am I going to break out when I score a goal? And you've got one in your head. And then when it happens, you try and do as many different celebrations as you possibly can. And that is exactly what Fuwa-chan was doing the entire way down the ramp. She had got so many. She was bending, she was kissing, she was throwing, she was trying to hold Syuri Ano's hand. She was trying to rub Hazuki's face. Honestly, I don't know what they had fed that woman backstage. They need to do it before every single show, because she was the most hyper person I've ever seen in a wrestling ring.
She was fired up. A lot of star power. Like that entrance alone, Poi, Ano, Hazuki, and Fuwa-chan. Like, who am I supposed to be looking at here? You know what I mean?
Big aura farming.
Like sensory overload. And again, a match that with all the matches, if you're short on time, it was a fun match, but there was so many other matches that are like noteworthy, which we'll get into. But yeah, the aura farming. I'll say this is by wrestling brain. What probably happened with Syuri Ano tripping is you have 4 wrestlers coming off that one side of the ring. So everybody needs to be 100% on. My guess, because since Syuri Ano was all the way to the right of the screen, probably the left of the building, if you're in the crowd, is the side of the rope when Hazuki, Fuwa-chan, and Natsupoi hit, it caught Syuri Ano probably on the knee or the leg. Because again, you got 4 people running off one side and then running back. So it probably threw her off and she just ate it. And you're right. Credit to Azusa Inaba for kind of saving the spot. But credit to Natsupoi, because then Syuri Ano was just like, all right, I ate it in front of everybody. I can't no sell it. She went outside and like sold it. And Natsupoi went out and bopped her on the head. So great.
Absolutely no chill from Natsupoi whatsoever.
No, it's like, what are you doing? We knew what this was going to be. We knew this was going to be a fun 7 to 8 minute match. We knew it was going to be one of those matches that you see on a pay-per-view. But this will be really good with these other matches and other stories to highlight. But we're still going to get a lot of fun. 8 minutes, 8 great wrestlers. This is another one, Rob, that I will pat myself on the back, very much like the Utami and Saya. I did say I think that Natsupoi was going to escape a roll-up from Fuki and Death and then roll up Fuki and Death. That's exactly what happened here. Justice for Fuki and Death. Fun match. would I have this baby at 3.5 stars. Again, fun. You had the aura. This was just kind of something kind of in the middle of the card to kind of keep the crowd going. And again, kudos to the crowd, because a lot of people there were there for 5 hours and they were really into it. 3.5 stars, fun stuff. Really, always fun seeing SaoriPoi do some teamwork. So maybe when we get to the end of the 5-star Grand Prix, we do see SaoriPoi doing more teamwork, since again they're probably not going to be in the tournament. But again, always great seeing all 8 of these wrestlers for me, and just a really fun 8-person tag match.
18, by the way, Matt. Xena versus Hanako. I counted 18 chops from Xena. So that is the number I went with on the Predictions League. And don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be getting to the winner of the Conversion Predictions League very shortly. But yes, if this is one of the final matches that we see Xena in, we know that her final match will be on the 8th of July. This was a really nice way to send her off. I think her versus Hanako was a good match, a decent singles match. I'm a big fan of blonde-haired Hanako. I think she's got the look down. It's just a shame, unfortunately, that we're not going to see more of Xena in a Stardom ring, especially after missing all that time with that knee injury.
This was great. Big lockup to start. We get a tackle trade off. Xena gets the better of Hanako. Xena does the slingshot planche to the floor, which I believe was the kind of the same thing that she injured her knee.
Exactly the same thing she did.
So good on her, going back to something that took her out of wrestling for over a year, and then going back to it as she's transitioning into going to Stardom to, again, the rumor has it, NXT. Hits that perfectly. Then we go back and forth with the lariats and the chops. Fun match, and then we get to like the big falsies with the clotheslines. I thought the Shirasagi was going to put away Xena. Xena fights out of it. And then Xena's able to get out of the JP coaster, and then is able to use that roll up, the Thunder Roll, to pin Hanako. Interesting having Xena get the win over Hanako. Hanako's been kind of a project for Stardom the past year or so. You figured with Xena on her way out, Hanako would get a win. Ultimately, though, it was just all really about a great match and a great story these two told. 3 3/4 stars. Obviously, a massive fan of both these wrestlers. And again, it's been interesting to see where Xena does go after her match on July 8th. Question, Rob, because she does been putting out on social media that there's one person that she does want to wrestle in her final match. Who do you think that person is? I thought it would be Micah, but she had that match with Micah back when Waka, not unless they do run it back, because that was kind of a replacement match. Who do you think her final match is going to be against? Because she's been very adamant that it's just one person she wants to wrestle. Who do you think that we get the Touch of Thunder Xena against?
It's weird because before I saw that she sort of highlighted one specific person, I assumed that we'd get some sort of 6-woman where it might be her, Hanako, and Micah versus the Ito Respect Army or something like that. I don't know whether it might be Waka, if Waka's back from injury by then. Obviously, Waka not in the 5-star Grand Prix, which makes you think that she's probably not going to be back from injury. Maybe Syuri.
Ooh.
I feel like it's going to be someone who you can trade chops with, because that I don't think for a moment that Xena is solely about the slats, but she delivers them so heavy-handedly that it's there's very few that do it harder than Xena in Stardom. So in my eyes, I feel like you're either going to look at a Syuri or maybe an Ami Saori.
That'd be a good one. I know she did put something on social media. Who do you want my final opponent to be? I said Syuri, and then I think she liked it, and she might have even retweeted. I could have that wrong, but that's the match I'd want to see. You want about heavy kicks versus the heavy hands, you hard-hitting match. Yeah, not many. Or Momo Watanabe route. Ooh.
I mean, to be fair, she's not very good with that aim, though, is she? So she might aim for a kick and just miss entirely. I mean, we have seen it. It's caused issues, as we're going to see in a moment.
We may as well talk about it, good sir. We may as well talk about it. Oh,
why the hell not? We knew that this was going to be the sort of the drama match, the law match, and it didn't disappoint. Obviously, we talked about this on the preview show. Everyone in this match, bar Starlight Kid, has been in Queen's Quest at some point, and that is the connecting factor of this match. And they dove headlong into it. There was no subtlety with it whatsoever. They were like, this is about Queen's Quest, to the point where they played the cage match during Utami's Tron. They played the history of these 4 women, Azumi, Utami, Saya, and Momo, especially in Queen's Quest, Miyu as well when it came to the cage match. But straight away, it's there then for the crowd to see this is what we are talking about. This is the crux of this match. And then obviously the match came about, building towards Utami and Saya. We're not going to give it to you straight away. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. So we started with Momo and Azumi because, of course, we did. Because there's history there as well. The chair shot, by the way, was also on the Tron at the start, just in case you'd forgotten that Momo Watanabe absolutely railed a chair off the back of Azumi to join Oedetai. Everything was great. There was loads of little sort of tidbits, callbacks to either matches in the lead up to this match or matches from their Queen's Quest history. You've got the Magic Killer spot, of course, where Utami takes down Saya and uses Momo, and it was the move that beat Utami a couple of weeks back in the lead up. You'd got, of course, Azumi delivering that head kick to Momo. You'd got the fact that Momo Watanabe clattered Saya Kamitani in the face with a baseball bat, and Utami pinned her with the BT bomb. And now Utami has a pinfall victory over Saya Kamitani heading into the 5-star Grand Prix. And that story continues to thicken. And again, there was real emotion in this match. And I feel like this set of wrestlers do that so spectacularly well. I mean, you've just got to look at that cage match. That cage match was everything that Stardom are fantastic at. It's one of Stardom's greatest ever matches. Top 5 best matches of all time in this promotion. And I don't say that lightly. And again, the constant references to it, the little bit of dissent as well between Utami and the rest of her team at the start, Azumi and Miyu reminding Utami, you left us. Let's not forget that. Because you left us, Queen's Quest isn't a thing anymore. And even after Utami won, Neo Genesis were hanging about on the stage for her. They left. And I think that's a really good point to bring up. And as well, Starlight Kid has also put out on Twitter that she's not happy that Utami's waltzed back into the company and got a red belt shot. So, again, there's little seeds of dissent being shown there. This was a great match. It really was. And it delivered on all the points we wanted it to deliver on. We've got those pointers now. Saya and Momo, Utami and Saya, those 2 big storylines as we head into the summer.
There was a lot that happened in this match. Utami's the first one to come out. Probably gets the biggest reaction of any of these other fantastic wrestlers. The crowd is so happy. The Stardom crowd is so happy to have Utami back. And obviously, I mean, if you go and watch the press conference from earlier today, Utami was grinning from ear to ear, putting the Stardom jacket on. So happy to be back. So, yeah, I mean, you look at just the entrance alone, then you have Kamitani, Konami, and B, they come out as a unit. But where's Momo Watanabe? Momo comes out by herself. Rob, new gear for Momo. A lot of blue. In that gear, a lot of blue, a lot of maybe Queen's Quest blue. So I was like, ooh, something's afoot. So Utami wants to start with Saya Kamitani, which is obviously the natural thing you want to go to. Obviously, Saya's like, no. So they play that off, and then we get Azumi and Momo, and they pick up right where they left off from their unbelievable match from last year's 5-star Grand Prix final. And then we get a lot of Neo Genesis teamwork with Azumi and Starlight Kid, with Azumi and Miyu Amasaki, with the 3 of them, Azumi, Miyu, and Starlight Kid, to the point where I'm like, what? Now, obviously, they have the hate brawl because you have to have that in there, right? It's got to happen, yeah. And then that's when you get, after the little mini heat, it's just Neo Genesis running teamwork to the point where, like, where's Utami? Like, it got to a point, like, 5-6 minutes of this match. I'm like, she even in this match? I'm like, oh, this makes sense because we need to build. We need to leave Utami out and Kamitani out, and we're getting the Neo Genesis stuff over, right? And obviously, like, Momo was great. Like, her stuff with Azumi, her stuff with Kid, being Konami played the roles really well. And being Konami, when it comes to certain points, are main eventers from when they're tapped upon. They're great, but this wasn't about that. But they played their role really well. We made mention when we previewed this match, we kind of had an idea where the finish may go. And again, we did get there. We thought we'd get a little bit of Utami and Saya, just a little bit. We got a lot of Utami and Saya, a lot. And these 2 are fantastic. We have not seen them across the ring from each other. Obviously, in the Queen's Quest days, we did get those 2 great matches. We did get the one in Nippon Budokan for All-Star Dream Cinderella for Utami's red belt. And then we did get the rematch about a year later. Yeah, March of 2022 at Stardom World Climax Night 1 for Kamatani's Wonder Belt. And we know they have great chemistry. But this is completely different. It's a different Utami and a completely different Saya Kamatani. And these two absolutely tore down the house. Rob, from the little bit that we got here, can you imagine what we're going to get when we get a full-on singles match? Like, these two are going to set the world ablaze. This was terrific. And then we get towards the end, Momo with the baseball bat shot. And I liked how they teased it at first. I liked how they teased, like, Momo, was going to hit Saya, and then she's like, no. I'm like, ooh, is she going to pull back and hit her? Like, is that a possibility? Then eventually Momo does accidentally hit Saya Kamatani. And keep in mind, it's Azumi using the head kick to wear Momo that sets up for the accidental magic killer. You're absolutely right, buddy. It's the same magic killer that they used to pin Utami. I think it was Ruaka used to pin Utami a few weeks ago. But the fact that it's Azumi, the longest reigning member, or not reigning, the longest member ever in the history of Queen's Quest. Nobody's been in Queen's Quest longer than Azumi. Was Azumi hitting Momo Watanabe, her former tag partner, and the lady that she had the final night of the final match of the 5-star Grand Prix with. That it was just that one blow from Azumi that set up for the magic killer that then did in Saya Kamatani with the BT bomb, putting away Kamatani. So a lot of story entrenched with this match. This match still was great. Like the Starlight Kid stuff that she does when she does runs off one side of the rope and then the other, and then she jumps up and does the headlock, head scissor takeover, which I believe she did to be in Kunami. I thought was phenomenal. But again, it all built towards that. And just a little thing with Azumi there. Like Azumi's the one that helped Utami bridge that gap to put away Saya Kamatani, which I thought was very interesting. Again, it was just that one little head kick. And we made mention last week when we talked about in Korakuen Hall after O2 Lion had that successful title defense against FWC when Utami came backstage and Azumi's like, you need to make amends with the other members of Queen's Quest. Was one of those members Momo Watanabe? Was this accidental? And I love the way that Momo took the magic killer. It was kind of like a Rana, yet kind of sloppy enough where it was like, was she helping? Planting those seeds of doubt. I have more questions than I do answers. I thoroughly enjoy this. I know there's a few people that were like, we thought we'd get the full Momo face turn or the full Kamatani face turn or something. And I like that we only got a little bit, because if you think about this, Rob, if Momo does a full face turn, or if they did something where they're beating down Momo after the match, and then it's Azumi saying we need to save her. Azumi, her former tag partner. And again, remember, Hate tried to interfere in the Azumi Momo Watanabe 5-star Grand Prix final, and Momo called the dogs off, was like, no, we need to have a clean match. So that was something that was going through my mind. The fact that it didn't happen, I thought was genius, because if it did happen, what would everybody be talking about at the end of this show? Not the Suzu title win. It would have taken away from Suzu's title win. And the way I was thinking about this, if you remember WrestleMania 30, Bryan Danielson beat every single member of Evolution and won the 2 titles. Fortunately, most wrestling fans remember that as the night the streak ended, and it kind of took away from Danielson's moment. My point is, had they had the full Momo face turn, or she got thrown out at Hate or whatever, it would have taken away from what Suzu did. So I like how they planted the seeds and gave us some questions, more questions than answers. Not only that, Rob, after this, because we've seen Momo accidentally hit people with the kick and the bat zillions of times, and she was never reprimanded. Like, how isn't anybody talking to her? And it happened here because it led to Utami pinning Kamatani. And then they got into an argument, and even Saya, when she was leaving, she threw the barricade or pushed the barricade. About 45 minutes before this match, they just happened to announce Momo and Saya in the same bracket as the 5-star Grand Prix. Rob, this is so genius. This is so genius. 4.25 stars, as great as the match was, and we knew it was going to be, was great. The actual wrestling was great. But there's these bits of story with Utami getting the big pop, with Utami and Azumi working really well together, with Azumi being the one to give the head kick to Momo, with Momo accidentally hitting the baseball bat shot to Saya with the magic killer, the same magic killer that helped Aphrodite win so many matches, same magic killer that cost Utami a match a few weeks ago, that helped get Utami the win here. And then we see Saya finally at her breaking point with Momo Watanabe, and then being Konami trying to play peacekeeper here. Man, I'm excited. I don't know where we're going, but I'm all in for the ride. 4.25 stars. But this was done perfectly. Everything was perfect. They're setting up for one of the best long-term stories in Stardom, maybe ever, what they're doing with Sai and Utami, because you have all the other players involved as well, my friend.
Bet B's really, really happy she joined Hate at this point, isn't she? What a time to join. Now, IWGP Women's Championship, Syuri versus the deathmatch Amazon Rina Yamashita. And we are very used to seeing Rina Yamashita smashing light tubes off of people's heads, bleeding profusely, and people might incorrectly ascertain that she is naught but a deathmatch wrestler. However, here, clean wrestling match against someone as dominant as Syuri is, I think Rina Yamashita more than held her own, and the crowd got really, really behind the challenger, especially towards the end where she is eating these kicks from Syuri and is demanding more of them. The crowd really loved that. I feel like the result was a foregone conclusion. We knew this was going to happen, but Rina really proved that she's not just about the death match. She's not just about the blood. And now she's in the 5-star Grand Prix where she gets to prove it again and again and again and again. It's a great springboard for her going into that tournament, debut in that tournament.
Yeah, anybody that had any doubts of how great an actual wrestler Rina is going into the 5-star, here's your example right here. You're going to get a lot of this. You're going to get a lot of really great hard-hitting wrestling from Rina Yamashita. She's in a block where there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters, so it kind of is going to suit her really well. I think it was really well structured putting her in the block. We're going to see her be able to accentuate a lot of her positives. And she's a great wrestler. Again, we talk about all the time. She had that match with Maya World at WrestleMania weekend last year where it was a hardcore match, it was a hard-hitting match, then it turned to a comedy match. She tried to bribe the referee. So Rina Yamashita has a wide range of how great of a storyteller she is. This is exactly what we were going to get. We knew what we were going to get in this match, Rob, and we got in spades. The big lockup. Syuri with the double A going to the knee bar to Rina. Rina firing back with the kicks and the forearms. Then we go outside, and then we go back into the ring here where Rina blocks the apron Rana on the Syuri and then powerbomb Syuri onto the floor. Like, Syuri's taking some big bumps here. Rina is kind of accustomed to it, but like Syuri's like giving Rina a lot. Like, she's taking some really dangerous stuff here. Back in the ring, Rina hits a superplex. And then Syuri's able to come back with the superplex of her own. Usually when we see Syuri climb to the top rope with a wrestler and she wins, as I call it, the top rope fight, usually it's that double wrist lock takeover into the double wrist lock. But Syuri hitting a superplex there. Don't see that too much from Syuri. Rina comes back with a big German suplex, and then we get slap exchange, German suplex exchange, a lot of fighting spirit going through the veins here of Rina Yamashita as well as one Syuri. And then we have Rina blocks a knee strike, and she hits a huge suplex onto Syuri. Rina then is able to hit a pair of short arm clotheslines. Shout out to Jake the Snake Roberts on that one. Syuri escapes the Splash Mountain, which is pretty much Rina's go-to finisher. And then Rina is able to come back with a pair of lariats, but only getting a 1 count. Living the dream. Syuri kicking out at 1. Back and forth we go. Rina with some stiff headbutts and then a head kick for a 2 count. Syuri comes back with a buzzsaw knee, buzzsaw kick. Then Syuri hits a headbutt of her own and then locks in Rina with her version of the stretch muffler, the White Dragon. And I know it's got a whole bunch of different names, but I like how Syuri will be doing some low kicks and working on the knee bar certain points in this match. But it's her able to hit the headbutt that basically opens up the door for her to go back to the knee and force Rina for the tap out. 21 minutes, my friend. I'm glad this got time. Told a lot of different sides of stories here. Syuri getting the win, 4.25 stars. I love this, and this even got me more excited for Rina's upcoming run in this year's 5-star Grand Prix.
Hanan and Saya Ida. Now, we talk about new gear, we talk about new hair. Saya Ida nailed both here. She looked absolutely fantastic. Dressed to impress, dressed for the big occasion. And you said, Matt, when we talked about this match last week, that best friends hit each other harder. Syuri seemed to take that sentiment to heart because she was hitting Hanan a lot harder than Hanan was hitting her.
Yeah, you're not kidding. These two really brought. I made mention that sometimes when you have a great tag team, sometimes they don't make for great opponents. And this definitely wasn't that. These two put on a show. This was my second favorite match of the show. These two brought. There was a lot of great fall season. I liked it as we're building toward before we build into like the big bomb fall season. Hanan's trying to use the Itabashi and Saya Ida's trying to use the 17. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Who would know those moves better than your tag partner, your former tag champion partner? So I liked how you had that, and then you some really great back and forth between the two. Saya Ida hitting so many lariats. It was a lot of lariats, a lot of running European uppercuts, a lot of dangerous stuff between these two. I mean, you really throw this into the mix of the great Wonder of Stardom Championship matches we've seen over the last 5 or 6 years, because these two took it to another level. Towards the end here, Saida hits a huge spine buster, and then Hanan escapes the brain buster attempt with a backdrop for a 2 count. Ida comes back with a huge lariat, and then that sheer drop brain buster, which we only see Ida pull out from time to time. This is one of the biggest matches of her career. She hits that sheer drop brain buster for a fraction of a second, Rob. I thought maybe Ida was going to be walking out as the Wonder Champion. Hanan did a great job of kicking out at the last possible second from that sheer drop brainbuster. In when we talk about Mercedes Monet having the facial expression of somebody kicking out of her big move, Saida was like on the Monet level there. Considering the fact you can think of the psychology, big lariat, what does it affect the neck? Sheer drop brainbuster, what does it do? It affects the neck. Ida could not believe that Han, her tag partner, is able to kick out. Saida hits another lariat. And then Saida goes to the top rope. We get a top rope fight between the two. And then Hanan hits an avalanche-style back suplex, dropping Ida right onto her neck. I mean, thank God Ida has those shoulders and that neck, because that was dangerous. That was all Japan dangerous. I was like, geez, these two are really, really upping the violence here. Hanan then hits locomotion backdrop suplexes. As soon as Ida kicks out a 2.9, this crowd is nuts for Saida. It's like a 50-50 crowd match here, but the crowd is molten hot for Saida. Saida was on like the Suzuki Utami level over at the end of this match here. Ida hits a lariat, Hanan with the Hanan special. Ida hits a 360 lariat, and then Saida, after the 360 lariat, hits her version of the muscle buster, the Be a Master, for a 2.9 count. The crowd can't believe it. Ida can't believe it. Hanan can't believe it. The one thing with Hanan is when she takes these big moves and you think it might be a finish, she's staring right at the referee, knowing when to kick out. It's like, no, you should know. The Hanan's so good, she should know the cadence. That's my little nitpick. Because after she hit, it's like Ida's hit so many layers. She hit the brain buster. She hit the Be a Master. Like, I thought that was a possibility. Could have been it. We do have Ida kicks out. Hanan then comes back with Ida goes for another muscle buster. Hanan is able to counter that. She hits her version of the DDT, a huge step up in Syuri, and then the 17 roll up for the 3 count. I love this match. I love it how these two hit bomb after bomb after bomb. That couldn't put anybody away, but it's Hanan with her capture roll up. The 17, the same move Saida tried to use early on in the match to beat Hanan, but Hanan's just like, I understand you're trying to use my move against me. It's not going to work. Let me show you how to do it. And that's what puts Saida away. 4.5 stars, Rob. I love this match. And even Ida with a loss comes out looking better. She did it with the Konami match. She lost for when she had that Wonder of Stardom Championship match back in Sumo Hall at Dream Queendom. Even though she lost there, the crowd was so molten hot for her at the end. Same thing here with Han. The crowd was into Han, don't get me wrong, but they were really starting to rally behind Ida towards the end. It's again another reason why I think Ida is going to make the playoffs for the 5-star Grand Prix, because I think another star has been born here with Saida. Again, 4.5 stars. Phenomenal stuff here between Hanan and Ida.
Finally, your main event. I will just give a little shout out to Bozilla, who made her on-screen appearance, a reappearance on this show. The first time we've seen her on screen since that injury on the 11th of January, seconding Suzu, which I thought was great. It did make me laugh that they moved her well out of the way of Sayaka Kurara doing that dive. They were like, you are not taking this. You go over there, Bozilla. You go over there. And then she sort of crawled back into shot after Sayaka. I think she'd taken out Suzuki. 55 days. for Sayaka Kurara. And I was thinking about this because obviously you had Saya Kamatani come off the back of this generational run with the World of Stardom Championship. And both me and you have been unsure about it being Sayaka Kurara being the one to end it. We talked about the story being perfect, the whole doing it, the whole Tam lore and things like that. But we weren't necessarily sure that Sayaka Kurara was the one who should have ended it. The story was perfect. I personally thought that should have been Natsupoi. However, that being said, are you surprised that Stardom did this and then only gave it 55 days? Because I have my own theory, and believe it or not, even though I'm still not sold on Sayaka Kurara as, a top tier World of Stardom champion. Now, the match against Makito, and especially this match with Suzu, I think this is her best singles match that she's had, apart from obviously the Saya Kamatani match. I thought she's proven that she can hang there. Definitely. In ring, 100%. And that's something she's taken from this reign. However, in terms of the length, in terms of what she ended to then have a 55-day run with the title, I have my own theory. I quite like it and think it does more for Sayaka Kurara. But what say you?
Made a great point. Really a great point here. Halfway through this match, I was like, I'm starting to see it now. Like, I'm starting to see it. And I was pretty sure Sayaka Kurara was going to win here. But again, I still kind of had my doubts because of just how dangerous a wrestler Suzu Suzuki is. And she could put your lights out quickly. And obviously, we'll get into this match. I'll break down this match first in just a little bit. But I was like, man, she's really aggressive. And we've seen it building up to this match. I'm like, I'm starting to see it now. I still don't think she's in the same category as Azumi Kid, Kamatani, Momo Watanabe, Anu, Poi. It get really who is. I mean, really, it's such a special talent pool, especially at the top, where I'm like, okay, now I get it. But does she belong there? I think Suzu does. We talked about it in our preview. And again, I'll get into more of that later. I'm really interested in her 5-star Grand Prix round now, partner, because she's always been a solid wrestler. She had that epic with Saya Kamatani. This was pretty close to an epic. I'll have to tell you right now, 4 3/4 stars. This was my favorite match of this past week for how much wrestling I watched. I actually enjoyed this more than Syuri versus Athena. I enjoyed this more than Hazuki versus Mercedes. That's how much I enjoyed this match. Going in, we're approaching hour 5, and the crowd is so hot for this match for really both these wrestlers. And the crowd, especially towards the end, with Suzu laying this beating on Sayaka Kurara, they're chanting Kurara and Sayaka, like they're getting behind her. So now she's going to be getting this sympathy pop and the sympathy run going into the 5-star Grand Prix, adding on the fact that she's the one to end Kamatani's reign as World of Stardom champion. And now we're seeing a more vicious, violent side of Sayaka Kurara. And she gave a really great, heartfelt post-match promo where she's sitting on the ground. Like, I need to build myself back up. I lost on my birthday. Like, you feel that. Like, what a crappy birthday. Like, we always had that one day. That is your day. That is your birthday. And she had a crappy birthday. So now people are going to get behind her as we're going into the 5-star Grand Prix. I think it's genius that they did this right before the big tournament, Rob, because a lot of people now are going to be rallying behind her more so than they were before. So, and I think that they would have gave her a long reign. I think it would have been kind of like the Roman Reigns babyface thing where it's like they're shoving her down our throat. We have a whole roster full of great wrestlers. They're shoving her down our throat. So I do kind of like that. Now that, Rob, this belt now, it's just like now there's some intrigue. There's a lot of people think that Utami's going to take the belt because of the belt kind of being flip-flopped now. So you have to look at it. It's like, okay, now there's a little more intrigue on top of that. Not only that, Rob, but now we take a step back and what this short reign does, it makes us appreciate the reigns of Saya Kamatani, Utami Hayashishita, and Syuri having those year-plus runs with the belt because it's difficult. It just goes to show you that the talent pool for the World of Stardom champion is you have to be a special talent to hold that belt for a year. I know Syuri was a year to the date, 365. Sayo Kamatani was 483, and I think Utami was 460 something. I think something like that. I think she was a little over a year.
Utami.
Yeah.
409.
409. Okay. And I know it was 9 and for Syuri, 9 for Saya, and 10 for Utami. So goes to show you have to be a special talent, like an Utami, like a Syuri, and a Saya Kamatani to hold this belt for a year or a year plus. So I do kind of like that. And again, it goes to show the talent pool for this championship. And I made this mention years ago, and I'm going to bring it back. I used to be a diehard MMA fan. And not that I'm not now, it's just they come on too late and I'm just way too busy. But the UFC light heavyweight division for years, it was Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, and Randy Couture. They would trade that belt back and forth. And then it went on Chuck. Chuck gets knocked out by Rampage Jackson. Rampage only has one successful title defense, loses to Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin, 0 title defenses, loses to Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans quickly gets knocked out by Lyoto Machida. Machida in his V2 loses to Shogun Hua. Shogun in his V1 loses to John Jones. And then John Jones wipes out the division. Wipes out the division where it's just like this division is so stacked. Nobody can hold on to it longer than one defense. And then what does that do? In my opinion, and I know John Jones is controversial because of certain tests that he may or may not pass, but I think he's the greatest of all time because not only did he win that belt, he wiped out the most loaded division in the history of the company. Well, so again, throw that on the World of Stardom Championship. If Suzu loses to Utami, you're going to be like, okay, I see it because Utami's one of the best in the world and has been for 5 years. Say Suzu loses to Micah at To the World. I'm just using it. Well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Micah's one of the best in the world. What if Suzu loses to Starlight Kid, Azumi, Momo Watanabe, Hazuki? All make sense because they're some of the best in the world. So it goes to show you that, like, yeah, this belt could change hands, but the special talent that can hold it long, like Io back in the day, like Mayu. And I know Mayu because he had the COVID, but still great matches. Syuri, Utami, Kamatani. I think it just puts more prestige on the belt. It makes it really more interesting, buddy, in my opinion. But what was your theory, my friend?
I like the fact that it makes it more like a quote unquote real sport. Because in real sports, no matter how good the team, no matter how dominant a team, you will always have that one slip up. You will always have that one team. So, for example, in the European Championships, where in 1992, randomly out of nowhere, Denmark won it. Denmark shouldn't have even been in the tournament. They hadn't qualified. They were put in because of something else. I can't remember exactly what it was. Not only had they not qualified, they then went on and won the entire tournament, beating teams considerably better than they were. And effectively, that is what Sayaka Kurara did. She had no right to beat Saya Kamatani, but on that night, she was able to. And that's the true underdog story. You know, you have underdog teams that randomly, out of absolutely nowhere, beat the on-paper favorite. It happens in sport, and that gives it an air of legitimacy. Obviously, you had all the storyline stuff with Tam, but that added into it perfectly. However, that self-doubt now that Sayaka Kurara will have, because you've had Suzu Suzuki needling and needling and needling all the time after Queen's Dynasty about how Sayaka Kurara is not strong enough, doesn't have what it takes to hold the championship against a decent competitor. And what happens? She drops the belt to Suzu Suzuki. Not only drops the belt to Suzu Suzuki, but eats about 3 pinfalls to Suzu Suzuki in the lead up to this pay-per-view as well. So now you have got a storyline where Sayaka Kurara is now thinking, is this a fluke? Was it a fluke that I won the red belt? Or did I actually deserve it? Am I capable of holding the titles should I win them? And for me, that's a really interesting story that you can play with Sayaka Kurara's character. The doubt that has been instilled in her by this loss, the way she lost, the manner in which she lost. She beat Saya Kamatani. That was fantastic. That's amazing. It was one night. And for one night, anything can happen. However, when push came to shove, she dropped the belt to Suzu Suzuki, who, by the way, get in, because by God, I'm so happy for Suzu Suzuki. So happy. She's so good. And she's finally getting the recognition she deserves. But this brings, as you mentioned, a really, really interesting 5-star Grand Prix, because you could really do something now. What if, say, have Sayaka Kurara go full tam and lose every match in the 5-star block? Have her lose every match. I don't think they should do this, but it's an interesting thought you could go through. You could have her lose every match and really go back to rock bottom, this lack of self-belief, to build her back up then. And then have her win the big prize again, proving to everyone that she does deserve it. It makes the character a lot more interesting than just, for lack of a better phrase, and I know this isn't what Tam is, but Sayaka is, but effectively just the second coming of Tam. She's her own thing. And I think that makes this character arc very, very interesting.
Rob, what if our semifinals is Sayaka Kurara and Utami, and red, and then in blue, it's Momo Watanabe and Sayaka Mitani. And then you're like, Sayaka Kurara will tell, you could build it up. Sayaka Kurara is like, Sai, if you're going to beat Momo, I'm going to beat you again. But before that, I'm going to beat your former tag partner. There's a lot you can do there. There is a lot. I mean, your idea works. This one, I think, there's a lot there's a lot of ways to get there. And I think they all make sense. And I'm all here for the journey. But just to kind of go talk about this match real quick. I mean, this was hard hitting. You brought out a really violent side of Sayaka Kurara as we're building here towards like the third act of this match. We do have a Sayaka Kurara blocks a German suplex, hits a huge spear, blocks a tequila shot and hits a Falcon arrow, and then a few violent shootings for a 2 count. Sayaka Kurara hits a huge spear and then a fisherman screw. That eventually Sayaka Kurara goes to the top rope. I don't know what she's going for. We get a top rope fight. And then we get an avalanche German suplex, dropping poor Sayaka Kurara like on her shoulder and her neck. Like, that was nasty. Suzu did a great job. As you can see, Suzu was getting ready to go to the next spot, but then she heard the crowd chanting Kurara. And then all of a sudden, Suzu just starts to sell a little bit longer. So this way the crowd gets up. Like, the crowd was really getting there. And I liked how Suzu didn't rush that spot. She waited to the crowd to kind of get to their peak. Just goes to show you how great and smart Suzu is, that she understands not only psychology, but crowd psychology. But as this match is building towards the end, I'm like, man, the way I'm seeing this really looks like Suzu's going to win the belt. We do have Suzu blocks a violent screwdriver, hits a tequila shot for 2 count. We get a headbutt exchange between the two. Sakura hits a huge spear, but then Suzu is able to come back with the 2 German suplexes back to back. And then as she's going for the third, I'm thinking that Sayaka is going to get out, hit a spear, maybe violent screwdriver, but she hits that 3rd German suplex. And then Sayaka Kurara, the referee Daichi's right by her shoulders, not staring at the referee. No, I'm like, is this it? Is this it? After 3 German suplexes and the avalanche German suplex, Suzu puts away Sayaka Kurara. I had goosebumps. I was so happy for Suzu. And again, I'm a massive fan of Sayaka Kurara. What she's done these last few months has made her somebody that can dabble in the main event scene with a company that's full of main eventers. When Suzu won, my first thought was, earned, not deserved. Suzu has earned this. She has come so close on so many tries. I'm so happy for Suzu. New gear, getting that in a moment. She looked fantastic.
Okay.
She looked fantastic. This match was great. Sayaka Kurara is able to hang with the big dogs and get over. Because Suzu got the big pop at the 3 count. I think everybody else was like, they were so happy Suzu won, but they were rallying behind Sayaka Kurara towards the end there as well. So I'm excited to see what happens with Sayaka Kurara. I'm excited for the Suzu reign. Even though, Rob, it may only be 2 weeks. I mean, we'll find out regardless. I always say when you're starting your championship run, you want to start out with a banger of a match. Win, lose, or draw, Suzuki's got a heck of a banger match. Korakuen Hall, more than likely 1,500 people against not only Utami Hayashishita, but the newest member of the Stardom roster. Rob, this up-and-comer Utami Hayashishita, coming off a big win and one of the most intriguing storylines in Stardom. The start of the most intriguing storyline, in Stardom history. All systems go. All systems go, Rob. There's no slowing down. I'm so excited. And I know we have 2 shows this weekend, which we'll probably get the cards announced in the next few days. We'll probably see some preview tags with Utami on one side and Suzu on the other. Rob, I know my Queen's Quest lore. I do want to put this in the ether for you Suzuki fans. The last time Suzu and Utami were across the ring from each other in a title match, it was Suzu pinning Utami to retain the Artist of Stardom Championships when it was Utami, Azumi, and Saya Kamatani versus Prominence. And that actually led to that very famous promo where Saya Kamatani and Utami were backstage. And Saya said to Utami, "We're losing a lot lately." And that's when Utami threw the ice pack at Saya Kamatani and saying, "Are you blaming me?" And she's like, "No, I'm not." And that's when the wheels started turning of the possible turn that never happened. I'm just saying, Suzu has pinned Utami in championship matches in this building before. Will it happen again, Rob? Tune into Nitro. Tune into Stardom next week to find out. Do it. Yes, that's exactly why I did it.
There you go. Couldn't get it. My hands are too sweaty. Come on. Now, before we get into the predictions league, Matt, obviously the biggest announcement, hair and costume.
Oh, that's right. Andy Header. Best hair, Suzu Suzuki.
Yeah, it was on point, to be fair.
Best gear. Now, honorable mentions, which he never does. Honorable mentions to Suzu, Maika, and Azumi. Best gear, Hina.
Wow, okay.
I'll say this. If Hina needs any more momentum going into the 5-star Grand Prix, Rob, that's it. Only one person. Now, Suzu did walk out as the red belt and best hair, but she did not walk out with the best gear. That went to Hina. So,
who's the real winner?
Hina. And us, the fans.
And us, the fans, of course. So just before we get into EO Watch, just want to shout out to a massive portion of you guys over at patreon.com/World of Joshi who joined the predictions league. The conversion was our biggest one yet. So thank you so much to everybody that competed. I will go into the results in a moment, but don't forget, we obviously have our own little competition between myself and Matt to see who will wear that stupid banana hat for the start of 2027. So that is constantly looming over me, which is absolutely frightening. But Matt Turner, are you ready? Are you ready, good sir, to see who came on top of the conversion predictions challenge?
I sure am, sir.
Oh, there we go. It's bloody Matt Turner.
Look at me.
Now, I know that people are going to cry fix, and rightly so. It does appear like it's rigged. But with 19 out of 26, Matt Turner won the conversion challenge, which is absolutely devastating for me. He also moves ahead of me in the league. He's now on 57 points. I'm on 54. Matt, you are joint top of the predictions league alongside our friend Mike Berry 420. The top 5 of the overall league stands thusly. Berry 420 and Matt Turner joint at the top of the league with 57 points. Dirty Fall is second with 56. I'm
just taking a selfie.
Oh, you. Oh,
I don't win a lot. I lost a lot when I was a kid, buddy. Go ahead, continue.
Good Lord. I'm third with 54. Mr. Adkins then just behind me with 51 points. Mida with 50. Steve Kaklamanos on 49 rounds out your top 7. Thank you to everyone that joined. We will be back. The next predictions league will be Summer Sun Princess, which is July 18th. I'm currently trying to work out if we can do a 5-star Grand Prix pick'ems as well and use that as our predictions league as well. I'll probably be able to do that. So we'll probably do Summer Sun Princess and the 5-star, because I believe they're both on the same day. Which is going to be mad. We'll also have Summer Destiny as well for Marigold coming up. So still plenty of chances to win. And don't forget, at the end of the year, the person who was crowned our predictions, king or queen, will receive that unique World of Joshi cap. Now, Matt Turner, the only way to end a Stardom Cast episode is, of course, by checking in with our possible Queen of the Ring in our EO Watch.
Now, I did have, because we were recording this on a Monday, I believe they're overseas. Darren Chatton did just send me.
They're in London. They're in UK. It's happening right now.
There you go, buddy. Yeah, he just sent me a message maybe about an hour ago that EO cut a promo on Liv Morgan because the finals of the Queen of the Ring will be this weekend. And you didn't mention that EO was crazy over. So thanks. Literally live report, buddy. That's how we do it, buddy. When you're top of the predictions league, you're treated like the king that you are. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to get 5 right the remainder of the year.
I hope you get absolutely battered now for the rest of the league. I am Team Berry 420 so hard right now. Come on, Dirty Foul. Come on.
You're just team Barry Matt Turner.
I'm just team anybody but you. Yes, I cannot wear that hat. I cannot wear that hat.
I might wear it just showing I'm a good sport, buddy. I might bite the bullet for you. I might
just wear the strawberry one and I'll wear the banana one.
There you go. There you go. But no, yeah, that's all that it was, buddy. It was just we're building EO Liv Morgan. The finals this weekend on I believe is it Clash of the Champions? I think
Night of Champions.
Night of Champions. So yeah, we'll obviously next week we'll have the full review of hopefully EO not putting on the banana hat, but the somewhat more prestigious, not as prestigious.
Not as
crown.
I'm gonna have to start looking to see if you can actually buy that banana because it's gonna look really stupid if you can't.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure you can. We can buy it. We're in a world that we can buy cheese in a spray can. I'm sure you can buy it in a banana hat.
Kind of want some spray cheese now. Ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of this episode of the Stardom Cast. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review or a comment. It really does help out the podcast. Patreon.com/World of Joshi if you want to join the Predictions League. Get all of these episodes ad-free, as well as a whole host of bonus content, as well as show reports, show reviews, show previews, and of course all of the stats to do with Stardom and Marigold. You can find us on social media at WOJ Wrestling. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and bestest way to get a hold of me. Don't forget to give me a follow on TikTok, M Turner over there as well. Or you can shoot me an email, matt@worldofjoshi.com, as well as the StardomCast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast. We want us together, and everybody's different. Everybody's special.